Big performance last time out at 1 mile and an eighth. Going to cut back to 1 mile. Can she keep it going?
And the 7 Give Me Kisses scratching really helps her cause because there's not a ton of speed in the race. So without her in there, nobody's probably going to press Crypto Mama, and she probably sits a very comfortable trip behind Crypto Mama. And major contenders like Spiked and Tough Street, they don't have nearly the speed of Coppa Girl. So they're going to be a little adversely affected by the lack of speed, and it's only going to play in the hands of Coppa Girl, and it makes her even more the horse to beat.
9 to 5 morning line, but yeah, with, as you mentioned, that scratch coming out of the other speed, might go a little bit lower than that. Meanwhile, Spiked, big performance in Stakes Company against a good one, Saddle Up Jesse, off a long layoff, and if she can improve off that, it'll be very tough.
That's why I picked her. One of the things I liked about this effort last time, every horse in the race is trying to win. But sometimes there are horses that are ridden in ways where they're putting themselves in a position to win, where she kind of went after the leader, who was a dominating leader, but the horse who ran her down for second, she just kind of sat along on the rail and picked the pieces for second. And I felt she did even more running than it may appear in her second place finish. So that's why I preferred her in here. But I will say one thing, her trainer John Terranova and his wife Tanya are very good off of layoffs, especially in dirt routes. So I don't think it's that surprising that she ran as well as she did. The question to have to ask yourself is, how confident are you that she can take a step forward?
Second off a lengthy layoff today, especially from that barn too. You would expect improvement. That's our feature. That's coming up in the 7th, 4:31 Eastern time on our Thursday coverage coming up. Let's take a look at what's ahead. Presented by Claiborne Farm. Live action, not just from Aqueduct, Oak Lawn Park as well. We'll check in with Paul LaDuca after the break in just a little bit, get his thoughts on today's card. This is presented by Claiborne Farm. Fast here in New York, fast in Hot Springs. Races 5 through 8, late pick 4 here in New York to come. That pick 5 just began. We have a cross-country pick 5 coming up, as you saw on the board there. And races 4 through 9 out at Oaklawn. You can play it all by getting signed up. Started with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. That's the offer. That $200 deposit match sign-up bonus. Punch in that code, bonus200 for new members and sign-up. And you're good to go with that offer. Again, right there at nairabets.com. We're going to talk plenty of 3-year-old picture when we come back. Is he for real? Domestic product, winner of that Tampa Bay Derby. What's next for him? And Timberlake, where will he wind up? Is it on to the Arkansas Derby for Brad Cox? Stay with us. With you on America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage, brought to you where you can play it all at NYRA Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Go to NYRABets.com, get signed up and started. 3-year-old picture going to really start to take shape in the next few weeks when we have those 100-point races on the horizon. What we know to this point, though, a lot of emerging stars, domestic product taking another step forward for Chad Brown off that second in the Holy Bull, winning the Grade 3 Tampa Bay Derby.
And I think the question with him is going to be whether he's going to run another prep or they're going to train up the Kentucky Derby. Obviously, Chad Brown will make that decision. He's a very difficult horse to evaluate at this point. Clearly, from a speed figure standpoint, he's too slow right now. The good news for him is that nobody's that fast. So it's not that big a mountain to overcome. And the other problem is he's been in 2 consecutive preps on the dirt that are basically run like turf races. Woefully slow paces, and he's tried to close into the fastest fractions at the end of the race, and he's been able to finish. So that's really a good news for him. But it's very hard to know how good he really is because of the way the races he's been in this year have been run.
Meanwhile, do you look conversely at No More Time coming out of that race, the Tampa Bay Derby, and say, well, he was up close to those very slow fractions, and he didn't seal the deal?
Yes, he certainly had a tactical advantage. Now, to be fair, it's not as though domestic product was that far behind. He was only, about a length and a half behind in that situation, and he had to sort of get through a little traffic to get clear. But you're right, the second-place finisher, absolutely no excuse. He was given every advantage.
There's that Kentucky Derby leaderboard presented by Spendthrift, and topping that list, your Rebel winner for trainer Brad Cox, that is Timberlake. Still waiting to hear on what race he's going to wind up in as his final prep with more and how he is impressed. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Well, the thing about Timberlake, Greg, is that he's always impressed. Ever since he showed up to the Grade 1 hopeful last year, I really liked what I saw from that point forward. And I even liked what I saw more from him coming back with this Rebel win for Team Cox, and that he was so much more relaxed in all the preliminaries. And let me tell you, going from that cramped paddock out to the infield, it can get the best of horses a little bit stirred up, but he handled it like an absolute pro. He was much more relaxed and focused and not too keen in running off early on in the Rebel, and he was able to kind of put away his competition in the end. I felt like it was a good return, but also a building block. Now, he had his first breeze back here on March 8th at his winter base at Fairgrounds, 48-2. And yeah, decision's still up in the air, as you said, Greg, on which race he goes to next. The Bluegrass or the Arkansas Derby has always been the two that have been at the head of the table here. Brad saying that maybe a little bit more time with the Bluegrass, but then you get a little less time heading into the Derby, as he looks to be I think Into Mischief has had one horse win the Kentucky Derby. That was authentic in that oddly run Triple Crown in 2020, as Timberlake looking to be the next one, and looking forward to what we see for him in his second start as a 3-year-old, Craig.
Maggie, thanks. So yeah, these big decisions to come. Who's going to wind up where on the upcoming road to the Derby? And that decision for Brad Cox with that horse. You have Bluegrass or Arkansas Derby. Arkansas Derby, March 30th coming up. And here in New York, the big one here, the Wood, worth 100 points.
And I believe that both the Louisiana Derby and the Jeff Ruby Stakes, to be run a week from Saturday, are going to be drawn on Saturday, so we can get an idea and look at those fields and see how they play out. And keep in mind, the Louisiana Derby's a mile and 3/16 now. It's actually the Preakness distance. It is the longest prep race.
Meanwhile, you talk about figures and take it for what it's worth. It was a wet track that day as well. One of the biggest figures we've seen from those who are eligible to run in this year's Kentucky Derby came from this horse, Mystic Dan.
I think it is the biggest fig, as a matter of fact, Greg. I think it is, because obviously, and you're referring to Nisos, who's unfortunately on the shelf anyway, but this 101 fig. Now, most of us will tell you that he rode the goldest of gold rails that day, and it's kind of been proven over time it's a big advantage. But still, you're still talking about a horse that ran a very daunting number. Now, if you're Ken McPeak, I guess in a perfect world, he would be on wet tracks the rest of his career because he seemed to relish it, but I don't really think that's what he wants. You really want these final preps. You really sort of pray they're going to be running fast tracks because you want to get an idea of what they're going to do on a dry track in a fair circumstance. And there's no reason at this point to suggest that Mystic Dan is not a major player in this Kentucky Derby at this point.
And you look back at his resume, too. Look, that was his 5th career start, 2nd start of his career. He got one of these numbers, you know, as in a sprint that we look at these Bob Baffert runners, and what, 96 Beyer going 5.5 furlongs, huge number sprinting.
Yep.
Bodes well for him. So he had talent from the outset.
Right. It's not as though he's some sort of horse that was running 60s and 70 Beyers and he caught a much wet track with a bias and he suddenly ran a number that's just unbelievable. As you say, he flashed talent. It'll be interesting to see what he does. And I'm also interested to see, obviously, Todd Pletcher. Right now, even with all the way things have played out and a lot of it unfortunate for him, you still know that Fierceness somewhere in him has the ability to just be better than these horses. And while there are questions, and legitimate questions, to dismiss him would be foolish. In my opinion, he's still the Derby favorite. I'm not saying I would bet him. I'm not saying I would pick him. But you know that in him, he has a race that's just better than these horses. And so you're curious to see what he does. But I also think Tuscan Sky, a horse who broke his maiden here in the slop. Now, he's only been in a wet track, but he went down to Fairgrounds. I know it's a 3-horse field, but he beat a very highly regarded, I think, Brad Cox horse and got a high figure in that race, I believe a 95 or something. I don't know where he's pointing to exactly next, but Tuscan Sky could be a horse that's not getting a lot of attention that turns out to be a major player for Todd Pletcher going
We
to this
usually,
Derby.
at least by this point, have 2 or 3 major players that we feel confident about. It doesn't feel that way this year.
Right, and I think for other people, it gives you hope if you've got a horse, a domestic product. He's too slow on the figs, but you don't really know how he'll go in a faster pace race and how much faster does he have to get to be competitive with these horses.
You saw it on that very brief promo right there. Lafitte, Paul, Rajiv, and Maggie all going to be in Hot Springs. Everybody but us, I guess, from 1:30 to 8 Saturday, March 30th, Arkansas Derby Day. We hope you join us. It's going to be a big one.
Spun to Run. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more, and he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Now, this multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, and Breeders' Cup champion is passing his remarkable talent along to his progeny.
95, 5, 200, 200 down, 2, in the back. Patrick, 200,000. Thank you.
Spun to Run, standing at Gainesway.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Marshalier, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Good to have you with us on our Thursday coverage from Aqueduct and Oaklawn. It's brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Take you to Hot Springs for the first time on our coverage today. 6 furlong sprint coming up in the 4th in a $62,000 claiming race. Favor right now, the 5, Radical Right, Norm Cassie claiming off of Steve Asmussen. Let's check in for the first time today with Paul LaDuca.
Well, happy Thursday to you, Greg, Andy as well. Happy to be here at Oaklawn Park. 4-day racing weekend, and obviously Saturday will be Hall of Fame Day, which is we'll touch on a little bit later. But we got a little 9-race card here. We'll start with race number 4. And when you look at this race, it really looks like there's 3 horses in this race that, the board at least playing. And I kind of agree. Now, the 2 Go West is a horse for Keith Asmussen. and Steve. Now, Steve claimed this horse for $80,000 from the Brett Calhoun barn. This son of Street Sense has numbers to go back to that are insane. This horse ran against Skelly, was right behind Carmichael, right behind Carmichael. I mean, this horse ran some giant numbers. I'm talking like in the 1-0 thoroughgraph number area. But the last 4 races, I just don't know what to do. Now, the blinkers go on, and you're wondering, okay, can this horse get to the front end? But then you get the horse on the outside here. I'm Wide Awake, and, you know, John Horan's been having that solid meet we've been talking about. This horse has almost won 33% of his races. Whenever he gets a slowish type pace or a decent type pace, he can finish. Now, with all that being said, if the 2 could put pressure on the 7, it also includes the 5 into this race. It makes the 5 a major player. I mean, the 5, you know, last time out, you know, ran just against a way tougher field. Major Blue's a nice little runner. Before that, that was a good ride by Nicky Juarez to get up. But this horse has got numbers to go back to that would beat this field. So I understand why this horse is 6-5. But I do think the 7, I'm going to take my chance that the 2 doesn't get that speed back. I think the 1 could be even quicker than the 2. And that the 7 and Walter De La Cruz can get out there on the front end to get an advantageous post position and maybe try to steal this race. And maybe stalking off the 2 or getting to the front end. I look more, I'm Wide Awake here, Greg, and I'm wondering, does he want to sit off horses or not? But I really, truly think this race is 5-7 or 7-5.
I'm all about the 7, Paulie, at that price. I thought the horse could be the lone speed, and with an aggressive ride here, could absolutely wire. And Norm Cassie has good statistics. He claimed the 5, to keep it in line, off the claim, in that he's about 21%. With sprinters, he's 7 for 27, which is 26%. But his ROI is $1.43. So they're all going off at short prices like this, and they're not winning at the percentage to justify it. And I really feel like a 7 could have a tactical advantage over him, and I prefer Wide Awake, especially at those odds.
Yeah, you brought this up to me off air before we came back on and threw it to Paulie, that no one's going to be able to be with this 7 early on. So everyone's going to be in chase mode. You look at Radical Right, though, the 7-5 favorite. 2 races back, that race beats everybody here, doesn't it?
Yes. I'm not sure even the loss last time in the slop doesn't make him a major player. And this is not a knock on Norm Cassie, who's a friend and a very good trainer. But this is an ex-Peter Miller horse. Then went to Asmussen, and the numbers of horses that are claimed off of Peter Miller, they're ugly. I looked them up the other day. They're ugly. I think the ROI is under $1. And that means here, California, etc.
Ricardo Santana Jr. will be on board, the heavy favorite. That's the 5, but they're going to chase that horse right there. The 7 should have the lead all to himself. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the 4th from Oaklawn.
We're ready to go. And let off an awkward break for Friar Lawrence, who hopped in the air at the start. Count de Monet from the inside going to the front. I'm Wide Awake takes the 2nd spot. Then Go West settling in the 3rd spot with Radical Right the favorite. Chip off the old block, the long shot 3 deep. A gap of 4 to Friar Lawrence, passing Accidental Hero, who's at the back with him. They're down the back stretch. Count de Monet and Chelsea Bailey lead the charge. A length in front. I'm Wide Awake right behind 2nd. Radical Right in the 3-path 3rd. Farther off, Chip off the old block is 4 wide into the turn, while Far West, or rather that's Go West, is saving ground around the turn and attempting to get closer while sent along, but he is moving up under that pressure. A gap of 4 to Accidental Hero and Friar Lawrence as they round the 4 turn now. On the lead, Count de Monet, I'm Wide Awake right there. Go West is right behind them trying to get out, turning for home. Radical Right needs to do more as they come down the lane here. I'm Wide Awake is the leader. Radical Right now finding his best stride, and here he comes on the outside. Radical Right up to engage I'm Wide Awake in the final furlong. It's I'm Wide Awake still with the narrow lead. Coming on late, Go West up the inside. Radical Right trying to get to I'm Wide Awake, and Radical Right, I think he got it. He did. Radical Right got it by a narrow margin over I'm Wide Awake, Go West, and Accidental Hero.
I'm Wide Awake not able to get the lead. Still runs a big one, but Radical Right just out finishes him. Norm Cassie first off the claim.
Happy to bet horses like the 7 at 4-1 every day of the week. You'll be rich at the racetrack, but did get beat by the 5. It worked out a perfect trip, and Norm Cassie should give half of his winner's share to Chelsea Bailey, who put the 1 in the dead send, and while the 1 obviously got absolutely nothing, cost the 7 the race and probably enabled the 5 to win.
Radical Right. Last 3 starts, 3 different barns, and we'll see if got claimed again. 2 wins in those last 3 starts.
I wouldn't want that horse for 62.5. Norm's fortunate to get the win. He'd be even more fortunate to get him claimed.
Ricardo Santana Jr. on board for that victory to just get by. I'm Wide Awake as we get back to New York. Race 5 kicks off the late pick 4. State bred 30 maiden claiming race. Dolly's Bank. Isaac Castillo rides.
An outrageously low 2-1 at this point for a horse that does have the credentials to compete, but is a shockingly low price.
7 starts for Alpha Sunny. Has never hit the board, and here's Warchrome.
I like Warchrome, who had some legit trouble in the debut. A second-time starter for me against a field with a lot of chances.
The Mighty Dawn should be showing speed.
Feels like the controlling speed in this race, and he is out of a race that collapsed last time, but it was a track that was favoring speed. It may have collapsed because he collapsed.
Samama Beach, Steve Jerkins trains.
That's like a trick name, right, Samama, to get people in trouble. You probably aren't going to be calling this horse in front in the stretch.
Chris Griffin's well aware, though. Nothing gets by him.
No.
Flying in Style, wow, 4-1?
You just jinxed him. Well, the problem with this horse, Charlie Baker does not have great numbers dropping from maiden special, maiden claimer, and this horse is making that big drop. And it just feels to me a little like his form has just eluded him. But obviously on the drop, he has to be considered.
5 minutes to post here at the start of this late pick 4. Let's go down to Maggie.
Why is the 1 favorite? I wasn't even planning on talking about Dolly's Bank in here. Look, he'll make a fool out of me, but I think that race last time is a bit on the higher side than what it actually is. We've seen horses come back and regress significantly out of that race. And furthermore, he's a horse that is built more like a router. Now, sometimes these turnbacks do work, but not going to take a short price on him, as we'll talk about the horse who is likely to be the speed, as the guys were just mentioning, the Mighty Dawn. Now, he's going to come off a little bit of a break yet again. He looks better in his coat. I like what I'm seeing from him in that respect. He's got a little hot, but again, it's warm out here today. And furthermore, I know this horse, he can be a little bit on the nervous side, but does seem focused. I will say that in the in the time that he was stringing those 3 races together, he did look more fit than what he does today, coming in off a bit of a break and just having those 3 listed workouts. As we'll move on to the horse that I like, as Andy was mentioning, Warchrome gets Lasix. I thought had trouble, but was also just very green. He was kind of running scared, as we like to say, head up in the air, just didn't really know what to do. And furthermore, he was wide on a track where you wanted to be on the rail. Gets Lasix for Michelle Giangiulio, looks the best by far in the paddock, out on the racetrack. I think this guy takes a step forward here. He's going to be my selection as well at 4-1. Greg.
All right, Maggie. Thank you. And not favored right now, but still second choice, this 1 horse, Dolly's Bank. So 0 for 8, but a very quick drill. March the 1st.
Yeah, you pointed to that work of 46 flat. You have to think it has something to do with it, unless there's a lot of Dolly Parton fans betting today. Always a factor you want to take into account. And this horse can win. I think in this field, he belongs, but he's the kind of horse with low-profile connections. If you liked him, you're thinking he might be a 4-1 shot that I'm going to get 6-1 on. Well, he's a 4-1 shot. Maybe you're getting 2-1 right now. So I think he's a bad gamble at that price, not that he can't win. I like the 3. Maggie mentioned it. It wasn't really a bump at the start. He came in and kissed another horse, basically. But he got steadied after that and kind of some trouble. And he was also wide against a gold rail that day. So he really didn't have a winning trip. As far as the Mighty Dawn, he may win this race. I won't be surprised if he does. Forwardly placed horses have done reasonably well throughout the day. But in his last race, he had the run of the race. He was able to control. Now, that was 7, but this is 6.5, so it's not that significant. And the race collapsed. On a day when horses were maintaining position, especially that were inside. So did it collapse because it was too fast a pace, or did it collapse because the Mighty Dawn just couldn't get it, even with a tactical advantage? So it to me, leads to some questions about him. I don't have a big problem with him. I don't have a big problem with Flying in Style, except that Flying in Style's form has eluded him recently, but the drop may help him. I still like the 3, but I'm not betting War Chrome at 3-1. 3-1's a ridiculous price in this horse, too. I think 5-2 in the 1 is too short, and 3-1 in the 3 is too short. I think we both thought the 5 and 7 would be shorter.
Yes. Those look like they were going to, and Morning Line had it that way as well. This one caught Maggie's eye, looks-wise. Took a little bit of money first time out as well. Had a little bit of trouble. Every right to improve. It's just the big interesting number on the board continues to be Dolly's Bank, the 1.
Absolutely. This is no way that you could realistically expect, mostly because it's not that he's not competitive, because he is competitive. It's that with these low-profile connections and a lot of chances and has never hit the board, you don't expect these horses to take a lot of money. It's not like these are, and there's nothing against the connections, but they aren't everyday names. They don't, win a lot of races because most of their horses just aren't good enough. It's not a question of being a bad trainer. It's a question of having mostly bad horses. I think he fits in here as well, but he's a sneaky pick if you're going to get 5 or 6 to 1, not 3 to 1. So maybe he'll drift. Looking,
at the rest of this card and the late pick 4 that begins here.
Okay.
Did you see anywhere? Well, that 7th feature.
They're going
like Spiked.
I like Spike, but I think that race is wide open. I don't think there's a horse in there with no chance. Ocean Gateway is probably where people are going to lean in the next race. The 7 on the outside, probably a very substantial favorite in the 6th race. And in the last race, I would try to get the 5 home. So I would kind of go. I'd fool around. I mean, I had bet the 3. I'm going to cancel my bet on the 3. I'm not betting at this price. This is lunacy. This is just too short a price on him. On this horse.
The last race for you, it's a strategic decision for Chad Brown.
Yes, he's got exceptional numbers on the drop down with dirt routers, and the horse won't be favored. So I wouldn't have any problem taking that horse.
Pick 4 starts here. 9-5 favorite. The Speedster, the Mighty Dawn, for Rob Falcone. Romero Mirage will be aboard. Dolly's Bank still taking money from that inside post, and Flying in Style, that number finally started to come down. First time in for a maiden claiming tag for Charlie Baker. Right at that 5-2 morning line right now with Jose Gomez. Loading up. Late pick 4 starts here. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
It's post time for race 5. Two out. So Mama Beach. Flying in Style. And in. All set. And they're off. So Mama Beach has early speed, Flying in Style towards the far outside, and in between horses there's the Mighty Dawn. The Mighty Dawn is ready to challenge So Mama Beach, and these two are head and head as they work up the backstretch. Just off of them is going to be Alpha Sunny, is now drafting right there into 3rd, is 2 lengths off the leaders. At the rail comes Dolly's Bank, who's in 4th. The 2 at the back, that's War Chrome, trying to pick up a place to the inside of Flying in Style. Who's the trailer? 22-1 for the opening quarter mile, and it's a pressured pace up top. The Mighty Dawn goes at it with So Mama Beach. Here comes the trip from Alpha Sunny, is ranging up here 3 wide, coming after the leaders. At the rail still, there's Dolly's Bank, and weaving in between horses now. War Chrome is in the purple cap, is in 5th. But is in between horses, right in behind this battling duo as they get set to reach the top of the stretch. 45-3 for the half-mile time. And look at the split there for War Chrome, and Luis Rivera Jr. just bursts on through. War Chrome has taken the lead. Alpha Sunny on the grandstand side is making up some late ground. Here's Dolly's Bank to the inside. It's Alpha Sunny at 37-1, trying to pull it off. Down at the rail there is Dolly's Bank, who's now put a neck in front, now a full length in front. The inside journey there for Dolly's Bank. To the outside there, it's Alpha Sunny. Back to third, that's War Chrome. Dolly's Bank. Got it. Dolly's Bank wins it over Alpha Sunny, then War Chrome in 1 minute 18.30 seconds.
Apparently that work was telling. Dolly's Bank with the victory. 8 prior starts had not hit the board. Wins today here at 3-1.
And despite a little trouble top of the stretch, this horse had an absolutely sensational trip as well, and a very good ride by Isaac Castillo filling in. They just went too fast. When the 6 heated up the pace, Sonoma Beach, it definitely eliminated the 5's chances of winning, because that's a very rapid pace for these horses. The 7 just can't really run it all anymore. The surprising fly in the ointment, though, was the 2. I boxed 1-3, and I just thought I was ginger ale top of the stretch, but Alpha Sunny ran extremely well to be second, because he was actually on top of the pace the whole way and actually ran really well. This was a good effort by him. He didn't get lucky to get second. He deserved it a lot. Jimmy Ferraro's horses have been running very, very well.
1, 2, 3 finish. 3-1 over 37-1. And yet Alpha Sunny, it's shown really, I mean, the debut, I guess you can argue, ran okay. It's shown nothing since that in 6 starts. It's a big effort here and a runner-up finish. 3-1 though on your winner, Dolly's Bank. Isaac Castillo for Mary Alice Coffey, breaking through, first time hitting the board here. Career start, number 9, breaks his maiden to kick off this late pick 4. Prices for you when we come back. Back with you on America's Day of the Races on our Thursday coverage. I want to remind everyone, 19% increase in New York bred maiden purses coming in 2026. Pays to have a New York bred. There's never been a better time to have a New York bred foal. For information on how to qualify your foal, visit NYRA.com/NYBreds. Dolly's Bank getting back to sprinting, maybe. It only sprinted once on the dirt. That was at 7 furlongs. That was one of the better efforts this 4-year-old had shown on the racetrack. Then that big bullet drill coming in. Breaks his maiden.
Down the right field, too, and despite a little stay top of the stretch, an overall very good trip. And I got to tell you something else. The horse that I liked in there, the 3, War Chrome, I don't know if he'll ever win a race. If he couldn't win this race with that trip in here, and the 1 having a little trouble, and he couldn't even hold second, good luck to him going forward. This was his day.
Dolly's Bank, Isaac Castillo. Mary Alice Coffee, $8.20 for the win. That 3-1 over 37-1. Dollar exacta, $87.25. Early pick 5 concludes, returning $272.50. All right, 6th race, 1-turn mile, 50,000 starter allowance coming up, and there should be, as you mentioned, a lot of attention, and there is, to Ocean Gateway. Second off a long time away, about 6 months away for Christophe Clement. Came back and won by 9.5 lengths, dropping into 40 non-winners and 2 claiming.
And becomes eligible for the starter by being in that race. Why did they drop? Maybe just the appropriate drop, though it was kind of odd that nobody claimed the horse. Runs that race, going to be tough to beat.
This race from Aqueduct kicks off this cross-country pick 5 as well from New York and Oaklawn. So races 6, 7, and 8 in New York, races 7 and 8 from Oaklawn. And it gets started coming up at 4:18 Eastern Time. Business has been good at the OBS March sale. Nearly 300 horses sold for over $46 million through the first couple of days of the sale. Look at the sales toppers right there. Acacia Clement caught up with a familiar face who took home one of those 3 horses who topped the $1 million mark.
Terry Finley of West Point Thoroughbreds joining me. They signed the ticket in partnership for hip number 173, the Tap It Colt, for $1.2 million. And Terry, this one from the Lothenbach dispersal. How promising is it to be able to dip into some of these really wonderful families from such a great operation?
Yeah, I think about DJ Stable, and obviously they've been around a long time. I don't know, I think they have about 2,200 wins, which for an owner is over the top. So the chance to partner with them on a really top horse, all in all, they're just good karma all around. The 2-year-old sales are tough on horses. Obviously, we all know that. And the good consigners, they've learned over the years to take care of their 2-year-olds. I love the fact that this horse just galloped. John Green said after the sale, the sky is the limit and blue skies ahead for a colt like this.
And he was beautifully put together, had a lovely pedigree too, being half to She Can't Sing. Talk just a little bit about what the team's thoughts were with this colt.
Obviously, we're privy to Tap It colts. Got a good number of them. Once they get training, their minds go a little left to right, but the ones that really seemed to make their mark on the breed and on the racetrack are ones that have the demeanor and the disposition of this colt that we bought. We're going to go back to the well with Tap It, like a world-class sire for a long time, and you know, when you get that richness in their blood, you have a shot to really strike it, and I hope that we've laid the groundwork to catch lightning in a bottle.
You did catch lightning with another son of Tap It in Flightline, of course, but for an operation for a syndicate like you and partnering at sales like this, how important is it to be able to find the next promising young horse?
Yeah, well, I think if you're an owner, whether you're a partnership or not, you have to keep at it, right? There's a lot of disappointment in this game, and there are a lot of horses that don't turn out quite to the level that you expect them to or that you want them to for any number of reasons. So I just advise people that are looking to get in the game, you have to stay on the dance floor. You just got to keep at it, and when you get knocked down and you get knocked down and you get knocked down, you get up again and again. So I've watched owners for a lot of years, and the successful ones are the ones that do that. And if you keep doing that, you're going to get to the winner's circle eventually. But it's not easy. But when it works out, it is very, very good.
It looked like a pretty mover right there that Terry Finley and West Point have acquired, one of actually 4 horses that sold for $1 million or more at this sale.
I believe they were partners with DJ Stable on that horse. I could be wrong, but I think they were. Listen, I mean, people are paying a lot of money for the horses, which is, I guess, good for the business. And there's a lot of different discussion in the 2-year-old sales, but we've also seen some very good horses come out of those sales. In fact, I think one that Terry was mentioning in there.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll have more from that sale later on in the program. We're going to take a timeout. Big day coming up this weekend at Oaklawn. Hall of Fame Day. Some of the big names you'll see this year: Steve Cawthon, Angel Cordero, Julie Crone, Lafitte Pinkai, and more. We'll be back.
Charlatan is back, and he turns it on with 1/8 of a mile to go. Express Train moves into second. Nashville dropping out of it, and then Collusion Illusion. What a spectacular return for Charlatan, who will romp in the run-happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
The Cross Country Pick 5 combines the best racing from New York with top races from around the country in one bet. Find it in your track menu and play every race day. Races are posted weekly at NYRA.com/crosscountry.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
It's Volatil in front as they pass the 16th pole. Volatil victorious in the Vanderbilt. Won by 2 lengths.
Tremendous amount of talent. With his win in the Vanderbilt, as well as a couple of his wins at Churchill Downs, ran unbelievably fast. Very special family to me.
Perfect style for 2-year-old sales. Just a gorgeous horse and throwing very athletic horses that I think will run.
Victoria in the Vanderbilt.
Tonalist, a 4-time Grade 1 winner with 11 triple-digit buyers, including the Belmont Stakes and the Cigar Mile. He's already living up to his potential as a sire with multiple graded stakes winners, including Grade 1 winner Country Grammar and Grade 2 winner Tonalist Shape, plus multiple 6-figure yearling and 2-year-old sales. Proven on the track, proven in the sales ring. Tonalist, standing at Lane's End.
Swale with Pinkai continues to lead the way by a length and a half, now advancing to 2.5. Play on, Gate Dancer on the outside, and Morning Bob on the rail is a close fourth. They're at the 8th pole. Swale still leads. That lead is going out now to about 4 lengths. Morning Bob on the rail, joined on the outside now by Pine Circle, moving up quickly. Pine Circle takes second as Swale leads to the wire.
Lafitte Pinkai on Swale, the 1984 Belmont Stakes, the 3rd in a row. It would get better for Charlie Whittingham.
Yeah, he picked up the, for Woody Stevens. He picked up the mount, I believe, on Key Sorciello. Then he rode Caveat. This is one of the few Belmont Stakes I actually missed. The great Swale getting it done. And of course, Woody had Devil's Bag, who was a 2-year-old, looked like the next Dr. Fager. It didn't pan out with him, but Swale took over and won the Derby and the Belmont before his unfortunate demise. And our friend Andy Beyer smashed that exacta with Pine Circle second for a monumental score. It might, to date, be his best single race score in his life.
And yeah, Lafitte Pinkai Jr., 3 straight Belmonts as well.
He was a pretty good jockey. He didn't pass on his talents to his son, but he was very talented.
That was all Andy, LP. You're going to have a chance to meet, get an autograph, hopefully, as well, from Lafitte Pinkai this weekend at Oaklawn. One of many Hall of Famers, Paulie, going to be on hand this Saturday at Oaklawn Park.
Yeah, Greg, I got to experience it last year, and it really was a ton of fun to be able to talk to guys like Sandy Hawley, obviously guys like Lafitte Pinkai, now Edgar Prado, and just straight Hall of Fame riders, Chris McCarron, guys that I watched riding in my youth, and obviously Lafitte, the longevity that he brought to the sport. I think a lot of people don't realize he won the Hollywood Gold Cup in 1970 and then won it in 2002. So 32 years apart. He actually won it in back-to-back years in 01 and 02. And you guys mentioned something that's pretty crazy. I mean, is there ever going to be another jockey that wins 3 straight Belmonts? I mean, that's pretty amazing. And he kind of revolutionized the sport, right? He was the one guy that got sort of aerodynamic on a horse. So it's going to be fun, as it always is. You get a ton of people here. They're looking for about 30 to 40,000 people that are going to show up. Obviously, Steve Asmussen will be signing some autographs. Take those while you can get it. Early fires. Sandy Hawley, like I said, Sandy Hawley did a lot of his damage in Canada. Phenomenal rider. The always smiling Julie Crone. If you can get Richard Mandela to smile for one of your photos, I think you should get an award for that. And then Alex Solis, and then, let's be honest, the Hot Springs legend is Nick Zito, to be honest with you. Nick hangs out at DeLuca's. I talked to Anthony Valinati the other day. He said he's going to put a mailbox in for Nick Zito at DeLuca's.
I still can't believe I have not been there. That's my top of my list when I get to Hot Springs. Terrific Saturday, though, coming up. It's been a great day that they do, getting all these greats, these Hall of Famers together, your chance to meet them, get autographs, have them share stories, and for them just all to get together. Good time, too.
I think it's awesome. I really, that's a great thing that Oakland's doing and stuff. And, you know, Nick Zito and I have been friends for a long, long time, long before I worked here, really almost 30 years now. And I don't think I've been at the track with somebody that's more popular than Nick Zito, especially in Saratoga. I mean, people just besiege him, and he's, of course, as friendly as anyone could be. And while Nick may not be achieving the same success he once did, he will never not be an incredibly popular man, and for good reason.
Well, send it back to Paulie right now, the 5th race here at Oaklawn. 2-turn mile, lower level condition claiming race, and it starts off, Paulie, this late pick 5.
Yeah, it does start for this late Big 5, and I'll tell you what, Andy, I could admit that he's actually the mayor here in Hot Springs. If you go to DeLuca's, him and Jimmy DeVito, they sit right next to each other, true legendary trainers, and they tell stories, and people come up to them constantly. So, yeah, I mean, Nicky Zito, one of the best men I've ever met in the business, too, as well, especially interviewing him, such a kind person. Okay, on to this, you know, race. I thought a kind of a tricky type of race here in race number 5 because, listen, you're dealing with the horse that's 4 to 5 here. Okay, and I'll be truthful with you. I literally walked out with Dan Ward. I said, you know, this horse first time gelding, this and that. I mean, you gelded this horse a week ago and you're running? He goes, Paulie, I'll be honest with you. The horse was already gelded. And he said that he wanted to call the stewards and let them know, listen, I'm not going to be the guy that's not going to report this horse gelded and the horse gets claimed and he's not gelded. So Charter Oak has been gelded. Then I asked Dan Ward, how long has he been gelded for? And he goes, I don't know, but we're going to be tough to beat. And the board shows it at 4 to 5. The numbers are right there. And I do think a sneaky horse in here could be the 7 cost basis. In obviously an old class horse in here, but maybe a horse that maybe on the stretch out can find some new life and at least get to the front end. There's not a lot of pace in here at all, and maybe could be able to get a piece of it. It's down to 9 to 1, and I thought the 1 and the 2 were the other 2 horses in this race. You know, the 3 California Swing. Randy Morse is a heck of a trainer. The horse is 10 now. Can we reach back that far? So I do think the 6 is going to be tough to beat, but I mean 3 to 5 is getting ridiculous now on this horse. So I don't know how you put value underneath. I'd probably, if I was going to go value underneath, I'd probably play a little bit as 6 7s and go with 6 3s and maybe try to beat, maybe go 6 over 1 3 7. Try to get to 7 somewhere in the trifecta.
All right, yeah, Paul trying to say you want to create value with the favorite winning this race, maybe playing exactas or tries that way. And, you know, the 3, California Swing, Paulie mentioned, 10-year-old here. He just won 2 starts back.
Originally trained by Christophe Clement and owned, I believe, by Jump Sucker Stable, part of which is Steve Dunker, who's one of the part owners of Deterministic, and he's a 10-year-old who's been running for a long time in these parts. I didn't love him. I'm surprised there's no love at all for the 2 on the drop-down. This is an awfully big drop-down for this horse. Is he really that not competitive in here? I mean, outside of the 6, who's that good here? No?
Yeah, it is a huge drop, and you can... Well, not a great sign that he didn't get out of the gate good each of the last 2 starts. But 3 starts ago, I mean, that's a race that wins here.
But he's 8 to 1. It just seems like to me, he's an overlay.
I would agree. We'll 3 to 5. Yes, Charter Oak is the horse to beat, but that's very
low price. Yeah. New gelding.
Christian Torres rides. Here's the 5th start of the late pick 5. We go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
And Laroff, awkward break from Easy Big Boy, who drifts out to the center of the track, and the rider lost the right stirrup there, trying to get it back in place. There you go, back in place for him. In the meantime, they approach the clubhouse turn. Cost Basis is in front. Charter Oak taking the 2nd spot. Bella's Prayer on that rivals here takes back to 3rd. Down on the inside, Square Deal joins them. Then Easy Big Boy caught deep on the course, is passing runners a bit keen. So is El Franco between horses now. Boldish is 2nd to last. last, and California Swing is the early trailer, just 5 lengths from first to last. A compact group approaches the backstretch run. Ramsey Zimmerman has the long shot. Cost basis well off the fence, leading the way, though, about a half length in front. 3/4 now opens up that lead to a length once again. Now, Charter Oak, the favorites, down on the inside in the second spot. Square Deal in the 3-path. El Franco between horses, and a deep, easy big boy in the purple jacket as they're still tightly clumped. Boldish is getting closer from the fence, only about 2 lengths off the lead with California Swing and Bella's Prayer under pressure at the back. Remember, this race will end at the 16th pole. They round the far turn. Cost basis alongside has a short lead. Charter Oak sent along to keep pace with him. Square Deal and an all-out drive. Then comes El Franco going in the wrong direction. Boldish is making a move on the fence. Has 4 lengths to gain. Is just past the weakening El Franco. California Swing needs to do more in the swing for home. Cost basis trying to pull off an upset here. Charter Oak second, and third Boldish is coming down the outside now, and Boldish and Carlos Barboza reeling in Cost basis in the final 16th. Boldish, Cost basis game though. Cost basis, Boldish hit the line. Cost basis won it. Cost basis got it done over Boldish, Charter Oak, and California Swing.
10-1. Cost basis has been primarily a sprinter in his career. Outgames this one horse. Nice call, Paul LaDuca.
Absolutely. It looked like Boldish had him measured, and he just could not get by. A massive hang job by Boldish there. And unless there's something wrong with the rail today, and I'm just throwing that out there, I'm not suggesting it is, that was an absolute no-excuse third for Charter Oak. Cost basis gets it done. It's an all ex-New York runner exacta. Right?
Yeah.
Both these horses were not that long ago ran in Naira.
3-5 favorite defeated as we get back to New York race 6. 50,000 starter allowance. 1-turn mile coming up, and all the attention on this one right here for Christophe Clement with that huge effort. Second off the layoff, won by 9.5 lengths. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Yeah, guys, I was having some pretty serious deja vu listening to the call of that last race at Oaklawn, but we'll take a look at a horse who is a prohibitive favorite. That is a Christophe Clement horse currently. Actually, I'm kind of surprised she is, in a way, Ocean Gateway, that nobody dipped in for her, as she was a heavy favorite, again, in, I think, an overmatched field that day when dropping in for a tag for the first time. But she did kind of get a walk in the park. Kind of had things her own way, much like she did in her maiden victory too. But I almost, on the positive end of things, she's so big. And big fillies like this, a lot of times they need to kind of develop. They kind of need to learn to use themselves properly. And it takes them a while to put it all together physically. So I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt that maybe she is just a better 4-year-old. She looks phenomenal here in the paddock. Like I said, she is massive. So we'll take a look at a Mid-Atlantic Invader. That's number 4, Graceful Rose, who's making an excellent impression on me. She comes off the back of a win in a non-2 for 40, while she was well in hand and prominent early, and she was determined to gut out that victory at 6.5 to 1 last time. She looks phenomenal here for Mike Gordon. A little bit of a smaller package, to be fair, but this 1-turn mile seems fine. Would I prefer a little bit shorter? Yeah. But I like the fact she comes in off of a win at the distance. Just looks phenomenal overall, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Post-parade coming up, 1-2 favorite on the physically imposing Ocean Gateway. We start things off with Miss Fashionista Todd Pletcher.
And if you think that she can run back to that sort of out-of-nowhere 73 buyer performance, she is a major threat to the favorite and an overlay at 5 to 1.
Yeah, she just won by 7.25 lengths. Here's Miss Christie off since January 1st.
She was my second choice because I didn't trust the one to run back to it, and I thought maybe cutting back to a 1-turn mile would help.
Jimmy Ferraro barn, Annihilate.
And I don't think we should be ignoring how well his horses have been running, and maybe this is a long shot that can step it up.
Graceful Rose, decent figure out of town at Laurel to win. 40 non-winners at 2.
I agree. And the other speed in that race finished 4th at 9 to 2. This is a trainer that's had trouble winning in New York, though.
Argentina girl coming in, well, what did come in from Parks last start and then won impressively at Aqueduct. Trevor McCarthy, rider change.
This is a much tougher field. That's the big price.
Irish Jackson showed ability first 2 starts of her career and then went to the bench after a bad effort in December.
And she's been scratched at least once or twice, I believe, since then. I thought she'd have to improve, but who knows? She's a price.
And the big favorite, odds on, here's Ocean Gateway for Christophe Clement.
Even if she doesn't run back to her last big fig, she has other figures that make her the horse to beat in here. But 3 to 5 is a little bit short. If she runs her last race, she's going to win in all likelihood.
Well, here it is. There was not a lot to see. She was in front basically the entire way, and the margin gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I mean, she found the right group. She was 75 cents the dollar. I mean, she won like a 3 to 5 shot should. I think she's in a tougher bunch in here, to be fair. I mean, that was I don't know how much tougher they are, but they're probably, it's a deeper group. And this is a bit short on her, because you do have to ask yourself, why did they drop this horse now? Now, to be fair, this is a homebred for the owner. So it's not as though it was an expensive purchase price, and he has a lot into her. And he has a lot of probably brood mares, and so he's not afraid to lose a filly of his to be bred. So I understand the drop. I was a little surprised nobody bid on this horse and claimed. So now they can run in the starter allowance, and it sort of works out well for the connections to have taken a shot in there, gotten the win, and now they can run in here. And win or lose, you want to be 3 to 5.
That win, you see the prices from Oaklawn, by the way. She got to do it on the front end, fairly soft fractions. Probably won't get to do it that easily today, will she?
No, I think Graceful Rose has speed. Iris Jackson can be forward, but what she benefits from is drawing outside of them, so she can sort of dictate how she runs in here. She doesn't need to get pushed from inside of her. She can stalk outside of them.
Meanwhile, Todd Pletcher, Rapoli stable on the rail. Miss Fashionista, Jose Gomez riding for Pletcher, and that big effort, as you said last time out, if you believe it, can she run it back? She is a major contender.
Where did it come from? I mean, this horse, I know Strange Fruit, who beat her 2-back, won her second race today. She would be 25 to 1 in this race and would run like a 25 to 1 shot. She was awful 2-back in defeat, just awful. She had run a career of just mediocre speed figures. Now, some might say, well, she finally got back to a fast track. Okay, but her first fast track race, she got a 45 by her. Now, that was a 2-year-old, year and a half ago. Maybe she's rounding into form. And if she runs that last race, she is a major player to beat the number 7 in here. But you kind of want to see it again. If she sticks at 7-2 or 4-1, maybe you're getting paid enough. It's worth, at least you might feel it's worth taking a shot. I don't, but I can see it.
Let's go to Maggie.
Yeah, I'm going to take a little shot here, not because I'm totally against Ocean Gateway, by no means. She is definitely the horse to beat. As I mentioned earlier, as Andy just said, it does bother me a little bit that nobody dipped in and claimed her, because I couldn't find anything necessarily for that stuck out that you might not want to claim her for. Anyway, let's talk about number 2, Miss Christie, for Gustavo Rodriguez. Yes, I feel as though she is a better turf horse. She's looking for her first win now in her 6th try on the main track. But she has done very well in Gustavo's care. She's really filled out. She's grown up nicely now as a more newly turned 4-year-old. So there's some forward progression with her. And she's one that I'm waiting to see back on the turf. This likely just a race to kind of get things going again and set her up for a try back on it. But I will say I like the turn back to a 1-turn mile. I think it fits her better. I know she ran fine going a 1 1/8 in this condition last time out, but I just thought she's a horse that appreciates some pace to run at, and you're not guaranteed by any means, but it's more likely to occur in these elongated sprints that are these 1-turn mile. I'm going to take a shot here because I just couldn't get over how well Graceful Rose has appeared in the preliminary. She's got speed. Kendrick is looking to use it. She got an exuberant warm-up out on the racetrack. So at 10 to 1 versus 3 to 5, I'll take a little shot here with number 4, Graceful Rose. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thanks. Was close to the pace, sitting just off early in that win at Laurel last time out. Multiple winner now for Mike Gorham with Kendrick Carmouche, who's looking for number 3 today, by the way.
He's pretty good, right, Kendrick?
He is very good.
Yes. Listen, I think the horse fits off the last. The problem is the prior races, none of them are really good enough. So you're kind of counting on this horse to absolutely run back to the last race, which gives her a chance. Her other races really aren't very good.
But you could say, look, man, it was the first time going longer, and maybe that's exactly what she wanted to do.
Maybe, but it's such a jump up for her. But listen, that's not totally unfair.
There she is with those white blinkers. Kendrick Carmouche, again, trying to notch his 3rd victory on this card.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not looking to knock price horses, whether I like them or not. I think I picked her 4th. I don't think she's entirely impossible.
Say the betting public a little over-exuberant, though, on Ocean Gateway?
I think they are, and I think the 2, Miss Christie, is an overlay at her current 10 to 1.
See how it plays out. 6th coming up, 1-2 favoritism, now 2-5 on Ocean Gateway from that outside post off that big effort last time out for the Christophe Clement barn. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
Goes in. All set. And they're off. Good speed towards the outside here from Argentina Girl, wants to be forwardly placed, and also behind them, that's Graceful Rose. At the rail, Miss Fashionista is in that early mix. It's a moderate tempo early as Argentina Girl is in front, but now gets company towards the far outside. Ocean Gateway is going to join this rival, and in between horses, there's Graceful Rose, who's back there in third. Just off of them, Irish Jackson is in the center of the racetrack with Miss Fashionista down at the rail in 5th. The front group there, they're in the middle of the racetrack well off the rail. Towards the back, Annihilate, and far back the trailer, Miss Christie. They work up the backstretch in 23-4 for the opening quarter mile at 32-1, Argentina Girl. But the 2-5 favorite, Ocean Gateway, is just stalking right off the pace setter, is in hand as they approach a half mile left to go. At the rail, Miss Fashionista is under pressure now with Graceful Rose running by that rival. Out wider there is Irish Jackson, Annihilate, and still a lot of ground to make up for Miss Christie, who's the trailer. Argentina Girl has not given up the lead yet. Ocean Gateway just waiting for the cue. Here's Ocean Gateway and Dylan Davis just looming up on the outside. Graceful Rose is under drive in behind that. Irish Jackson's got some run, is going to move towards the outside as the favorites taking the lead. It's now Ocean Gateway who kicks away. Ocean Gateway's trying to run away from him right now. Graceful Rose is to the inside here of Irish Jackson. They're battling for second and third right now as Ocean Gateway is trying to parlay this perfect trip, is up by 2-3 widening lengths now inside the final 16th. Ocean Gateway is too good. Ocean Gateway, the favorite, will oblige and wins easily. Graceful Rose there for second. Irish Jackson and Miss Fashionista in 1:36-4.
2-5 in the end. Ocean Gateway does it again. Back-to-back wins now for the Clement barn.
And you can see how that kind of post, not that she was going to lose from the run post, but, you know, it just makes it so easy for her to get into that comfortable rhythm sitting outside an overmatched speed horse. And she won like a 2-5 shot should. She was really never in doubt in here. And I think the question's going to remain on the number 1, Miss Fashionista. Where did her last race come from? Because she was a pretty ineffectual 4th here, and her last race was a huge effort. She exploded. Who knows? Maybe she didn't love running inside. I don't know.
We should have known better. This barn winning with the tonalist.
It's true. It was his only good horse. I voted for Christophe for the Hall of Fame this year. I'm not going to say it was totally out of sympathy. I'm not going to say totally, but no, I'm a big fan of Christophe. And,
one of the great trainers in our sport, and hopefully it happens for him this year. Nominee for the Hall of Fame. Ocean Gateway wins here at 2-5, 7-4, 6-1. Dylan Davis aboard. Back-to-back victories for this daughter of the great tonalist for this barn. Won a couple of Jockey Club Gold Cups, Belmont Stakes.
Cigar Mile.
Yeah, indeed.
Grade 1s from a mile to a mile and a half.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. Feature coming up. Where will you be for the third and final leg of this year's Triple Crown Belmont Stakes at Saratoga? History made last year, first ever female trainer to win a Triple Crown event with Jenna Antonucci and Arcangelo, June 6th through 9th. Belmont Stakes Festival tickets on sale now, right there at belmontstakes.com/tickets. Be part of the fun upstate at Saratoga.
It's sort of interesting that it was 30 years between Julie Crone winning the Belmont Stakes as a woman rider winning the Belmont, and then of course Jenna Antonucci winning it. And for people that didn't follow the sport when Julie was riding, you missed out, because horses ran for Julie. She was a great personality, and I hope people at Oaklawn get a chance to have some fun with her, because she's got a good sense of humor as well.
Be part of that Hall of Fame Day Saturday in Hot Springs. Winner easily here at Aqueduct Ocean Gateway, race 6. Christophe Clement, Dylan Davis, and back-to-back victories for this 4-year-old filly.
Yeah, she won like a 2-to-5 shot should. She was able to control the race and get it done. It was a decent performances behind her, but she's just better than these horses. And listen, you took the chance. You ran her for that 40. She didn't get claimed. But then you're able to run her back in a starter allowance like this and be a heavy favorite I didn't look at the purse, but it's a $55,000 purse, so it's a good payday for her.
Dylan Davis, not asking much of her either in the stretch. That was a convincing win.
He's dominating this meet, right? And I think the end of the meet is probably the 30th, right? Because I think we start the spring meet for the Wood Week, so he's only got a couple more weeks, and he's well ahead, I believe.
7th race feature coming up, and Dylan will have another opportunity on Coppa Girl, who right now 3-1, but likely to be favored by post time. Allowance to optional claiming 1 turn mile coming up. We showed you Coppa Girl at the top of the show in that dominant performance last time out. As you said, certainly benefits with the scratch of the 7.
Yeah, it's going to make it, not only is she a horse who can be forward, but her chief competition, at least on paper, are horses that like to come from behind. So it helps her and hurts them.
More on this feature on our Thursday card when we come back. Stay tuned. Big one for Nick Zito, who will be part of Hall of Fame Day Saturday in Hot Springs. Birdstone. They apologized after this victory.
He had nothing to apologize for. It didn't rain on Derby Day. He would have won the Derby too.
What a performance to deny a Triple Crown.
They're off in the 2023 First Crop Sires race. Maximus Mischief makes the lead with the most 2-year-old maiden special winners by any sire. On the backstretch, Mitoli and Omaha Beach close the gap with stakes performers from coast to coast. Vino Rosso finds his best and leads on the turn with 4 Grade 1 colts on dirt. But it's Mitoli with his 3rd TDN Rising Star, your champion freshman, leading an impressive Spendthrift Superfecta.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Folsom from last to first in the Met win. And Folsom is flying to the finish.
Folsom is taking the front, and Folsom kicks for home.
And Folsom sticks his neck out and runs to the wire. It is Folsom!
It's Folsom in front, and Folsom wins the Governor's Stakes.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
They're coming to the top of the stretch. Smarty Jones is a 4-length lead. Birdstone is moving to be second on the outside. Rock Hard 10 is back to third. and Smarty Jones enters the stretch to the roar of 120,000. But Birdstone is going to make him earn it today. The whip is out on Smarty Jones. It's been 26 years. It's just one furlong away. Birdstone is an upside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes.
36-1 to keep that weight going for a Triple Crown.
When he ran his first prep race was an allowance race at Gulfstream, Birdstone, and then he went to what is now the Jeff Ruby Stakes. And at that point it was named the Lane's End. They sealed the track. It's not in the PPs, but they sealed the track before the race. And Nick was furious. He said he couldn't handle a sealed track. And he ran poorly. And then there was that monumental storm before the Kentucky Derby. And with all due respect to Smarty Jones, who was a wonderful racehorse, but a lot of horses just completely failed to show up, Birdstone being one of them. And people that feel like that Birdstone got lucky to win this race, he was really never more than 4 to 5 lengths out of it. He didn't make some run from 15 lengths behind. He ran a terrific race, and then his incredible Travers performance stamped him as, one of the very best horses of his generation. He had the misfortune of being in a year where the Breeders' Cup Classic was the greatest field ever assembled. But Smarty Jones, good as he was, Birdstone was a legitimate peer.
Homebred for Mary Lou Whitney Stables.
Well, if you look, you have his PPs. He debuted on Whitney Day. Yeah. And it was and he won by 9 or 10, right? 9 lengths?
99
yes.
buyer.
He ran back in the Hopeful, and Nick Zito discovered he needed more time. He won the Champagne, and he was a wonderful horse, and that was a great moment. I know they felt bad, but...
And Edgar Prado will be part of Hall of Fame Day on Saturday at Oaklawn.
And Nick will be as popular as anybody there for good reason. Good man.
All right, race 6 at Oaklawn, 5.5 furlong sprint, $30,000 claiming race, so all for sale for that price. Horses who have not won 3 lifetime on their resumes. And favoritism right now, it's Cactus for Randy Morris, so we'll get to. We start with Raven's Nest coming off a win.
Yeah, and coming off the claim for Ron McQuett, whose numbers off the claim are a little on the light side.
Hot Ticket has had fairly sharp form, but more of it out of town.
Yeah, it feels like he's just probably a cut below these.
Concept, one of the biggest numbers of anybody in the field last start.
And he's a horse that could potentially benefit from the scratch in this race of the 3, lessening the amount of speed.
Claims off of Steve Asmussen.
Yeah, that worries me.
Indulge, beat a neck last start.
But running fast enough to get it done here.
Here's Cactus, the favorite for Randy Morse.
He takes a significant drop down, but he's trying to regain his once good form.
Captain Jack, double-digit odds at 10-1.
Elton John song, Captain Jack?
Is it?
Yeah, I feel like it.
And Midnight Majesty, a little bit of pace outside for Kim Poole.
I think tactically this horse is well placed, and he has occasional figs like his last one that give him a chance.
All right, 6th race, start of this late pick 4. Paulie, Cactus, the one to beat on the board right now.
Yeah, the one to beat, but I don't know about the horse to bet in here. I'm kind of with Andy with the outside horse in here, Midnight Majesty, for Kim Poole. Now, 0 for 52 on the meet, but we did get Timothy Martin off the duck in the last race, who was 0 for 77. He had a lot of second-place finishes, and Kim has had a lot of really close calls. He's got his major guy on with Rocco Bowen. In agreement, again, with Andy, when I say, listen, this race is the 4 and the 8. If Ramon Vasquez and Rocco Bowen got together and said, hey, let's just make this a 2-horse race and try to out-finish each other, they could. They're the 2 by far fastest horses in this race, and I think they set up shop 1-2. I don't know which way they go. I do think Concept goes maybe towards the front, or maybe Rocco takes it to him. I don't know, but the 8 does get the better draw out of the 2 at least speed horses in here. Now to get to the other horses, you have a horse like Cactus, and I can understand like the 6 is 2-1, because I think when you look at the other runners in here, like the 1 and the 5, Indulge, what's their issue? The issue is their gate issues. Indulge has got the best numbers in this race, but he kind of causes his own trouble and launches from way out of it. He's going to have a speed duel between the 4 and the 8. And what we've seen so far in this racetrack, it looks like it's pretty tough to pass. And, you know, it's the same sort of concept for the 1 here. I understand the 1, Raven's Nest, comes off a W, but that horse is going to come from off the pace. Maybe could be more tactical or in front of Cactus and with that run there. So we'll see how it all plays out. You know, the 7, Captain Jack, is taking a little bit of money. I don't know where that's really coming from, to be honest with you, but I do think that gray right there, the 8, Midnight Majesty, getting the outside draw could be key the way this racetrack is playing. I think you're getting the right price, too, at 5-1.
All right, Paulie, thanks. 4 minutes until the 6th race here coming up as we get a look at the 8 outside. Could be involved early, and that has that outside post. Could sit maybe just off of maybe the 4.
But with the scratch of the 3, it potentially takes some of the speed out of the race. And with the 4, you've got a horse that was claimed for 7-12-5 and ran well in the drop down, had avoided claim 3 back. And being claimed, and I don't mean this in any way to be disparaging, because I'm just not familiar with this trainer. And that's why this horse is 5-1, not just the move up. People aren't familiar with Jean Jacot. I don't know anything about him. He's won at 13%, but he is 0-for-4 off the claim. But he was second in 2 of those races, so it's not like the horses all ran badly.
All right, we'll get back to this race. We return to New York for the feature here in New York at Aqueduct. 1-turn mile coming up. That's tough street for Chad Brown. Manny Franco will be aboard his first start back, or her first start back, excuse me, as her 5-year-old season got underway. Narrowly beat as a favorite by 3/4 of a length. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Yeah, we'll check in with her, Greg. And I thought in that last effort you were mentioning had an ideal kind of trip in that she was behind the pace duel and tipped out and just couldn't quite get the job done. But also she's one that does tend to carry her weight and conditioning quite well. So she may have needed a tightener. History would rebuke that claim because she has won off the layoff in the past. But she looks fantastic here. I like the 1-turn mile for her as her record would suggest. So all things looking good for your favorite. Now to her inside is a filly that comes out of the same race where she was declared a non-starter, and that's number 4, Towhead. Towhead, I'm assuming referring to blonde kids. Usually you call somebody has a blonde kid, they're a towhead. She does have kind of a little bit of a flaxen mane to her. She hasn't done much filling out. That's my biggest problem with her. And yes, you can absolutely forgive her for that first race back as a 4-year-old. And you gotta want to give her the benefit of the doubt. While she looks incredibly fit here, I just don't know how much she's gone on. I feel like what we saw from her as a 3-year-old is likely what we're gonna get now as a 4-year-old too. Is that good enough to be effective here? I suppose we'll have to wait and see. I would say probably not, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Get to the post parade here shortly.
I mean, I think there's a lot of ways you can go in the race in New York. I think there's a case can be made for everybody. They all have race are good enough to win. And one of the reasons is it's not like anybody here has run so well in their races that there's some sort of incredibly imposing, factor.
Surprised that she's the 9-5 favorite, though, right now?
That the 5 is? Yes. She's not favored, though, in multi-race bets. That's
should
the 3
change, yeah.
Copa Girl, so it'll probably change. But it's the Chad Brown factor as well. And let's face it, you're also talking about a horse that's been first or second in 11 of 16 starts. And if you take out her 2-mile and 1/8 races, she's first and second in 11 out of 14. You take her turf race out, it's 11 of 13. These kind of races, she shows up.
Meanwhile, Copa Girl probably will go favorite at post time. The 3 will have more on Copa Girl when we get back to the 7th here in New York as we get back to Hot Springs and set to load momentarily for the 6th here at Oaklawn. Start of the Pig 4. Still the 6. Cactus dropping from 50 to 30 non-winners of 3. Second off a long time away as well. Who's favored?
Yeah, listen, I thought it was more competitive than that. I think with Cactus, I never love taking a short price on a horse that's trying to regain form. Having said that, even the 5th place finish last time against Better arguably might make him the horse to beat. That was a sloppy track. He's second off a layoff. But, you know, second off a layoff's a funny thing, right? Sometimes it works out really well, and sometimes they run well enough off the layoffs that they regress from that and they run their better race third start off a layoff. And he ran well enough that I don't think he just had a complete tour around the racetrack to get ready for it in the drop down. I see why he's the horse to beat, but I think there are others in here.
Late pick 4 begins here in the 6th. There's the 7 stepping in. And on the outside, the 8 should be forward. Probably the 4, though, is the one everyone needs to catch up front. Matt Dinnerman with the call from Oaklawn.
Midnight Majesty. We're ready to go. And they're off. Midnight Majesty leapt in the air at the start, is well out of it early. Concept out on the lead today. Cactus takes second with Captain Jack. Then Raven's Nest on the inside within 4 lengths of the lead. 3/4 to Indulge. Another 5 to Hot Ticket. And Midnight Majesty at the back. Down the back stretch, a strung out group. And the top pair kick on. Concept inside. Captain Jack outside. Sparring into the far turn run. 2.5 to Cactus. Eases off that pace battle in a good spot. Now coming on. A gap of 4 to Raven's Nest is sent along from there. Indulge needs to turn it around. Joined by Midnight Majesty, who just passed them, and Hot Ticket has dropped out of it as they hit the quarter pole. Here comes Cactus in the 3-path, and Cactus moving up to challenge those leaders. Midnight Majesty has run a massive race. Can he keep this move up after blowing the brake? He's coming on. Cactus, Midnight Majesty. Concept is dug in very gamely today on the front end. Midnight Majesty into second. Cactus is given way. He's beaten, and Concept keeps going strong under Ramon Vasquez. Concept for the Jean Jacques Cobarn wins it by about 3. Midnight Majesty was second, third home Cactus, and then Indulge, who was 4th ahead of Raven's Nest.
Concept, the Wingate to wire, aided with that horrific start from the 8 Midnight Majesty. What an effort to get second here, completely blowing the brake.
I think you call this a 2-speed number the hard way. I mean, because not only does the 8 blowing the brake like that hurt his chances, but it made the race a lot easier for the number 4 Concept because he's able to control up front. Now, to be fair, he got pushed by Captain Jack into a legitimate pace, so it's not as though he had a complete cakewalk, but he was very much benefited, not only because the 8 may have won if he didn't blow the brake, but it changed the whole pace dynamic. And I got to tell you something. Absolutely no excuse for Cactus, and for anybody that finished behind the 8 in this race. They did not deserve any better positioning because the 8 ran huge to be second. But it was the number 4 Concept. Congrats to Connections off the claim. Got the win off the claim. So now 1 for 5 with 3 hitting the board. Not bad.
Well done. Back to New York, and there's Coppa Girl for Brad Cox. Dylan Davis will take over. Manny Franco was aboard for that dominant win last time out. Here at Aqueduct, that was at 1 1/8 miles.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to, yeah, I mean, Coppa Girl had the absolute run of the race, but it's arguable that she's going to get a similar trip in here, right? You figure that the 6 is going to go to the lead, Crypto Mama, and she's going to sit second to her. The difference is this is a tougher field. Not only is Crypto Mama maybe at the mile capable of running a good race and being fast enough and game enough that she could make her work to get by her, but also there are better closers behind her. She is likely, assuming a clean break, to get a good trip in here, but she's not necessarily significantly better than any of her rivals, and by post time she rates to be the favorite.
Meanwhile, inside of her, there is a lot to like about Spike. Just look at Dylan Davis. He'll be on board Coppa Girl in here. Again, taking over from Manny Franco. Spike, that first start off, what, about 9 months away behind Stakes Company in the Heavenly Prize.
And she ran very well in there because she also was race. When I say tried to win, I don't mean to imply that everybody wasn't trying to win, because they were. But she engaged the leader and the winner of that race, who was just too tough to beat. She was a big favorite, as I recall. And Movie Moxie, who beat her, she kind of plunked along for second and just kind of picked the pieces at the end because Spike was ridden hard. Now, the Terra Novas have a very good record off the claim and dirt route. Off layoffs and dirt routes. So they probably had her ready for that effort. So how much she's going to improve, I don't know. But I'm a fan of hers, and I took her as the 3rd choice on top.
Riders up. There's Manny Franco on board Tough Street, for Chad Brown. And then Crypto Mama, that speed outside.
South Street's in Saturday, by the way, so you can get
Thank
excited
you
for that. I know that you're obviously you looked and you were just excited about his presence.
Former Mott horse, right?
Yeah, yeah, correct.
All right, here comes our post parade. We'll start with Buston Bay. Kendrick Carmouche for Adam Rice.
Buston Bay was in raging form going back a few races when she was just winning race after race. Her form has declined a lot, but I think that a little more distance gives her a chance to upset.
Here's Spiked, second off the bench.
I think if she can run back to her last race or even improve a little, I think she's a big-time player at a fair price.
5 of 9 starts for Coppa Girl, been first or second.
Yeah, I have nothing against her. She's a fairly logical horse, but as the favorite, I don't think she's so good. I think there's other horses here that are very competitive.
Towhead, Mike Maker, and it's a rider change, Trevor McCarthy.
She's got some very good company last year, and while she didn't run well against them, she got a sloppy track, she met some tough fields, and then she just blew the brake last time.
Second start coming back as a 5-year-old for Tough Street.
Yeah, I mean, Tough Street is ultra consistent and a very logical horse.
And Crypto Mama, pace outside.
And she ran huge 3 back when third behind the the eventual graded stakes winner comparative. Then she found 1 1/8 miles too far, and then she wasn't competitive at 6 furlongs, and maybe no moisture in the track will help her chances as well. They're going to have to catch her up front. She's not impossible.
So, Tough Street. With Manny Franco, her 5-year-old return to the races came on February 19th. Buston Bay was in the race as well, finished well behind her. She just missed for the win. She was favored this day. This barn usually has them ready to go off the bench.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any reason to say, is she great to improve? I guess she always could. But to be fair, Royal Poppy, they kind of knew she was going to run well. She had the run of the race, and she ran well. And I think Tough Street ran very well. She has a much better record at 1 mile than she does at 7 furlongs. But I don't think either distance is necessarily better. Maybe at 1 mile, she's as good, if not better, and others aren't necessarily as good. But she's a hard-trying horse. I thought her second in Saratoga 4 back before she kind of went the wrong way in those 1 1/8 races was a super effort, because that was a gigantic speed track on August 30th at Saratoga.
Still holding as the 8-5 favor right now, Tough Street. Let's go back to Maggie.
And once upon a time, you could have had her for 25 grand. And she didn't even win the first time they ran her for the 25 grand. Anyway, she's gotten very good. She's going to be my pick in here. As we'll check in with Spiked, who's second off the layoff. And as you guys were mentioning, the Terra Novas are very good off the layoff, and they show that. Their horses look fit, incredibly lean and defined. So I'm not seeing any difference with Spiked than what I saw from her first time coming back in that Heavenly Prize. But if you like her, I get it. I totally get it. So we'll see what she does here against arguably a little softer company. Do want to mention that number 3 Coppa Girl did have a minor shoe repair as she just sprung a shoe, nothing big or devastating to her performance today. She looks great, as she typically does, and she's one that, having run around here for the past several months over the winter, just looks so much more fit than when she first started running here at Naira for Brad Cox. And then finally, Crypto Mama. I don't necessarily love her. She's not my cup of tea when it comes to horses physically. She's just a very narrow filly, doesn't have the strongest of top lines, but I do like her back out to this distance. As Andy was saying, she plays to be the main speed in here, and she just looks like one that's going to get more comfortable in her stride with a bit more ground. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thank you. 2 minutes to post here coming up. We saw Coppa Girl momentarily become the favorite, should be when the gates open.
Yeah, and, this is one of these races where you don't have to stretch to come up with a case for every horse in here. You can find enough to like about every horse in here that it makes them dangerous. Now, listen, I don't have a knock on Maggie taking Tough Street, not just my respect for her opinion, but she's a very logical horse. She just went down. They're both 9-5. I just didn't want a short price in here, and I think Spiked is a very reasonable play at 9-2 as the distant third choice. But honestly, I wouldn't argue with somebody who thinks Buston Bay can maybe round back into form. I didn't love her, but I could see it. I could see somebody taking a shot with Towhead, who, by the way, does a rider change to Trevor McCarthy. I believe that both Silvera and Ruiz were involved in an incident. Now, Silvera's out a few weeks. He has a broken collarbone. So we wish both of them well and look forward to seeing them come back. And even as Maggie was talking about Crypto Mama, I think we both see the path to victory for her. But the now, you can say she's a little light in the figures. She ran super 3 back because that was a supersonic pace that set things up. And as we said, Comparative, who won the race, She's a graded stakes winner subsequent to that, and has won 2 stake races, one of them graded.
For Brad Cox.
Yep.
9-1. So wide open feature race on this Thursday card to kick off this week's action. We'll see what happens here. Coppa Girl, Dylan Davis taking over, and now she does, well, as I say that, flipping back and forth.
I'm surprised. I thought that she would establish herself as a, because it is going back and forth. It's funny.
And as you said, even this one here, Bustin Bay, not without a chance.
No, I don't think there's a horse in this race that doesn't belong.
There's Spiked, third in Stakes Company last start, off a long time away. Behind Saddle Up Jesse, who talk about a great claim for 20,000.
That was a great claim.
And I believe now 3 stakes wins the last 4 starts. Or
not too well in the Azari. Long shot's running 1-2 in that race.
Tough spot.
Yeah.
There's Manny Franco teaming up with Chad Brown in those Michael Dubb Silks. We're set for the 7th art feature on this Thursday card. Let's go. Oh, we have a rider off here.
Louis Rivera on the 2, Spiked. No idea what happened. I don't see her. Do you see her? There she is.
And it looks like get right back aboard. Yep, leg up, and they will reload. So Spike goes back in. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Spiked back in. And they're off. Just standing there in the gate, that was Coppa Girl. Coppa Girl stood in the starting gate, is already about 10 lengths the trailer. Coppa Girl at the back of the field. Bustin Bay right out towards the front. Also right there is Towhead. These are the top 2. Crypto Mama towards the outside is going to be 3 wide. Just off of them will be Tough Street. Making up some ground is Spiked. Far, far back. Coppa Girl, tall task ahead, but is the trailer. It's about still 8 lengths off the front end. 23.31. It's a 3-way battle for the front. Bustin Bay to the inside is a neck in front. Towhead is in between horses, trying to advance, and out wider, that's Crypto Mama 3 wide. Down towards the inside is Spiked. Tough Street starts to make a move here for Manny Franco, just kind of patiently ridden, is progressing from the 4 spot, coming after the leading trio. Coppa Girl has caught up with the pack, but is still 6 off the lead. 45-4 for the half-mile time. Bustin Bay is a half length in front. Towhead's right there. Crypto Mama. Tough Street continues to just make up some ground, is only 3 off the lead. Spiked is still rallying on from the back there with Coppa Girl. They get set to reach the top of the stretch. Bustin Bay is taking the lead, and Bustin Bay is fending him off. Tough Street now tips into the 3 path, coming after the leader. Bustin Bay is finding plenty. It's Bustin Bay who's up by 3. Now Tough Street, just trying to straighten up, is in pursuit of Bustin Bay, who got the jump. Bustin Bay is still 3 lengths in front and powering away. Tough Street is now inching closer here as they approach the 16th. Bustin Bay trying to hold off the oncoming run from Tough Street. Bustin Bay, game and victory. Kendra Carmouche with another one. Bustin Bay gets it over Tough Street. Then Towhead and Coppa Girl in 1:36.4.
Race completely changed once the gates opened. Coppa Girl blew the break. Bustin Bay at 9-1 with the victory.
She was best today, though. I mean, Adam Rice getting the win, deputizing for his aunt, Linda Rice, in here. And Kendrick, I mean, he was aggressive the whole way, putting her in the race, and they were moving. That was a very fast second quarter in 22 and change. The other speeds completely evaporated. Bustin Bay just drew off. Tough Street could not have gotten a better trip and ride. You even saw Manny sort of went inside on the turn to angle her out to save his ground, much ground as possible. She was simply second best with no excuse not to get by in here. And frankly, Coppa Girl getting 4th, even though beating a pole was not a bad effort considering how badly she was left, with Towhead getting 3rd, I believe.
3-win day. Kendra Carmouche 9-1 here, Bustin Bay. And let's go back to the start, take a look at Coppa Girl, and this was it for her.
It seemed like she just sort of reared up. I mean, she just didn't go out. Look, she just welled, right? I mean, for me, I didn't see them. The stewards always take a look, and you always want to see the stewards taking a look, let you know they're looking. And I couldn't see anything. Greg, could you see anything there to suggest
I'd have to
that
see
she'd
it
be
again.
home?
Yeah, it's, I guess, question to see if she will be declared a starter or not. Let's take another look. So keep your eyes on the 3.
I don't.
He got loose. Hands were loose.
Yeah, I just think he just reared up and just didn't want to start.
And she did not get out. Well, kind of slammed her head against the gate as well.
And she went off even money.
Did she really?
Yep. She ended up closing at even money.
1-5-4-3, 9-1 upset. And the cross country pick 5 as well. Big day for Kendra Carmouche playing to the crowd. They love it. Buston Bay takes the Thursday feature with the finale still to come. We'll be back. Back with you on America's Day of the Races, 3-win day for that man right there, Kendra Carmouche, this time on a 9-1 shot, Buston Bay. Our winner's circle lead-in brought to you by Fasig-Tipton's industry-leading selected yearling sales. July sale, the Saratoga sale, and New York Bred yearling sale all taking place this summer. Nominate your yearlings today at FasigTipton.com. $21.80 here on Buston Bay. 1-5-4 finish. Let's go down to Maggie.
Here with Kendra Carmouche, Buston Bay. Kendrick, I got to say, she looked about the 4th fastest horse early on paper. What went into your aggression with her, handling her early like that?
Well, she warmed up really good than whenever I rode her before. You know, her back end was a little weak the last time I rode her, but today she felt really good and she was really feeling herself in the post parade. And you know, I got to thinking while I was warming up, and I'm like, yeah, they might have a couple horses faster than her, but let me ride my horse out of there, see who's gonna want it more, you know. And they settled outside of me, and man, I could have felt this filly the whole way. She just kept pulling on the bit, especially when we switched leads. I was like, wow, they're not beating this horse. You could have felt it, and you know, I just thought that, you know, coming off the 7/8, it would allow me to be a little bit aggressive at the 1 hole.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the other 2 pace horses, they finished well behind you. 3-win day, obviously Dylan is in front. You coming for him, though?
I'm fighting my way to get there, you know. Yeah, I want to make leading jockey. Yeah, Dylan want to make leading jockey, but I don't think that's the most important thing whenever I'm going out there and riding. You know, I just want to be healthy. I want to be safe. I want to compete every day whenever I come out here like I'm doing today, you know. At the end of the day, if it does happen, that's good. I add another one to the shelf, but we both work hard, you know. Even the guys that's below us, they work just as hard as us to be successful, you know. At the end of the day, I applaud whoever win, because you know what? At the end of the day, I'm still fighting to be successful in this career, and I'm born in it, you know. So it's not a day that goes by that I don't love it.
It also helps that you're a fan favorite. Can you understand what the guys are yelling at you when you come back? I'm not exactly sure what language it is.
Yes, they speak Jamaican, so I'm pretty familiar with the Jamaican.
You're gonna try to go down to, because we're covering the big Jamaican race on the program. You're gonna try to go down there with Andy?
I mean, they keep trying to get me to come down there. I would really love to, because I got a lot of fans down there, and from what I understand, I'm the people's person, you know. So that means a lot to me. That means I'm very loved, and they know that I share the love back to them.
Oh, Kendrick, keep it up. It's a joy to watch.
Thank you, Maggie. Louisiana, baby, we in the boot. We in New York, but we in the boot. Believe me when I tell you.
It's all about the boot. And Andy, Kendrick might give you stiff competition as being the most popular person in Jamaica.
He's got no shot. He could never be as popular as I am.
Got to get him a mount in that race.
He would never. They might not even notice he's there if I'm there.
I mean, if I tell him, you did have quite a following in Jamaica. He's going to have a chance for 4 coming up in this nightcap ahead. By the way, he'll be on a Poro, who will be, if not the favorite, certainly one of them. For Todd Pletcher, the big drop in class here, in for a tag for the first time.
And is favored over the one in multi-race bets. And listen, I mean, a Puro did come out of a very tough field last time out, so I won't be surprised to see him do well dropping down here. I'm going to try to wake up Strategic Decision dropping down, as Chad Brown has great numbers, maiden special to maiden claimer, but he better run a little better than his first time when he was eased.
Yeah, did not too much running in that debut. Meanwhile, coming up this weekend, Cicada feature 6 furlongs, race 6 on the Saturday card. Compact field of 5 that will line up. Kendrick's going to have a shot. He'll be on Miss Harriet. But let's start with Brad Cox and the filly, who should be favored. Galia Princess won the debut and then was second, beat less than 2 lengths in the Ruthless.
She ran extremely well in here. And not only do you want to watch her break as she breaks from the rail, because she really does break about, a quarter to a half slow, but she's got to be used to get up in there. But the eventual winner is the horse outside of the gray. She broke perfectly in there. So she was able to get into that perfect position, but rating with the break on the outside. And Galia Princess did all the hard work in here, and while she lost, I don't think she lost anything in defeat. This was a very good effort by her. Now, she draws the rail again, but she's supposed to be this main speed in here, and you would hope she gets a cleaner break as well. She's going to be very hard to beat at a short price in the Cicada.
Just behind her value area, who will line up against her again for Todd Pletcher, who had broke her maiden just the start before.
She's improved, and she's not bad, but Galia Princess just ran a lot better than she did in there, and I don't see why she shouldn't run better than her again here. She's a heavy favorite for a good reason. I think the question in this race is, can Reconcile run better? She was the gray who broke well and engaged with Galia Princess, and she had absolutely nothing, but her prior efforts were good enough to suggest that maybe she could run better in here.
Jose Lizcano for Adam Rice there. Again, 5-horse field lining up at that Cicada for 3-year-old fillies on the Saturday card. More coming up, including the feature from Oaklawn. We'll get to race 7 when we come back. First allowance condition race, mile and 3/16 distance. We had a big favorite with a 12-horse Sun Thunder. We'll be back.
Good Magic is off to a meteoric start at stud, having sired 2 Eclipse Award finalists in first crop Kentucky Derby champion Mage and second crop Grade 1 winning 2-year-old Muth. With just 2 crops to race, Good Magic ranked 21st on the general sire list with nearly $10 million in progeny earnings. Mage's graded stakes winning full brother Dornoch is one of the leading contenders for this year's Kentucky Derby. Good Magic, the classic sire.
General admission tickets are on sale now for the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival at Saratoga, June 6th through 9th. Admission is just $10 on Thursday as well as on Sunday for this historic event. Visit BelmontStakes.com/tickets today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Back with you on our Thursday coverage, America's Day at the Races. As we continue along in the cross-country Pick 5, we go to Oak Lawn, race 7 coming up, where a horse who competed in the Kentucky Derby last year for Kenny McPeak. Looks like going to be a tough player in this one. Sun Thunder from far to the outside. We start with Arleezy for Gary Red Dog Hartledge.
Yeah, sorry, let me just get to the 7th. I was a little confused there. Feels like he's in a tough spot and he would have to improve. Big
Christian
price.
Torres on B minor.
Yeah, we'll see. The mile and 3/16 for a horse that tired a mile and 1/8 last time.
Here's Magna Tap off since January 6th.
Yes, is going to have to improve dramatically. Thus, also a big price.
Nullarbor speed here.
Yeah, feels like probably the main speed, but I don't think this pace is going to be slow.
Here's City Legend, 4-time winner.
And he could use a lot of help up front because he has no speed.
Big figures with Alexander Helios.
Yeah, and a trainer switch to Dan Ward, but coming from a high percentage barn in Safi Joseph.
Namesake, decent figure last time out behind Indian Gulch.
A horse, though, that's forwardly placed has to get the distance.
Big price next, or the 8, we're going to see Guided Arrow for Cipriano Contreras.
And another horse that can be forwardly placed that's going to have to improve to be effective and get the mile and 3/16.
Yeah, stepping up in class, too.
Yeah, big move
owners
up.
at 3 claiming for 30. Rivalry, Ron Moquette, who would look like this horse might be very good early on, had some hiccups.
I may sound like a broken record, but he's another forwardly placed horse in here, and he's obviously going to have to bounce back on his last. But first time on a dry track in a while. Brad Cox, though.
Indian Gulch, wide trip, got a win last start off the layoff.
Well, if the pace is hot, we'll benefit from it.
Much the horse to beat here?
I guess, Greg, but aren't you getting a little tired of him? You know, I mean, I know he ran in the Derby, but he's now making his 4th start, and he's lost to 2-1 even money and 4-5. Yeah, he's supposed to get pace. With a long run of the first turn, his outside post not a big detriment. But, man, he's got to win, and I don't like the way he's been burning money.
And then 21-1 outside, also eligible, draws in with Harry Hernandez, Archie the Giza.
Gets back to the dirt, but would obviously have to improve off all of his dirt efforts.
So, Paulie, former Derby player from last year for Kenny McPeak. As Andy said, he's had 3 opportunities, all at short prices to get it done. So far, he has not.
No, he hasn't, and I'm in agreement with Andy. I mean, this horse is going to beat. He's going to beat me. I don't like the horse, and there's a couple reasons why. I do think the horse is a nice horse. He's 1 for 10 lifetime. The lone win was at Churchill Downs. Now, when he went out to the distances of what we're getting today, mile and 3/16, when he was on the Derby Trail, and you know, he obviously ran against some really good horses in second in the Rebel. But his numbers actually aren't that good at longer distances. I don't know if he really wants to go the mile and 3/16. That'd be my worry with Sun Thunder more than anything, because, you know, you look at his numbers, like I said, you look and you see behind Angel of Empire, Kings Barnes, Tapit Trice, but he's come back at a mile. He's come back at a mile and a 16th and a mile, and he's kind of grinded away. So they're looking, okay, well, we're going to go farther. But the races that he went farther, he didn't really excel when he was 3. Maybe he's a different horse at 4. I can't bet the horse, to be honest with you. I just don't like. I don't like today. You know, Greg, you mentioned the 6th, Alexander Helios, and this is a horse now that had run in 5 different racetracks now, and keeps firing a really good shot. And, you know, 3 back, that was a heck of an effort breaking his maiden. You were starting to think whether, you know, what was going on here, whether he was going to break his maiden. It took him a little bit of a while. Then he backed it up with another win at Tampa. And his last effort, I thought, was okay. He was, you know, pressing most of the time on a muddy racetrack, and I thought Florent Giroux didn't have him in the right spot. But Andy makes a good point. Where is Julien Leparoux going to sit him down? And it all leads to me to the 11 here. I like the 11 actually a lot in here, Indian Gulch, and I'll tell you why. You know, I know this horse is 9, but 16 for 53 lifetime. This horse ran a race at 1 3/4 at actually a really good number. I think this horse loves to go the distance to ground. He's one of those old gritty veterans. Tommy Van Berg's having a tremendous meet. He got this horse to win off a long layoff. I think this horse wants all of the 1 3/16, and I think Andy made a good point. You know, being in the outside draw is not a big deal here because you get the whole length of the strength to get positioning on the first turn, Greg.
Somebody's off. Yellow and purple silks.
Yeah, so you have almost the entire, well, you do, the entire run of that stretch until that first turn here at this 1 3/16 configuration.
That might have been the 11, though. I saw the rider walking. Somebody is probably getting scratched here because I saw a rider. See it in back, the rider going into the...
I believe that is Francisco Arrieta.
That is the 11 with the gold V, yes. So that will be the 11 who I'm assuming is scratched or will be scratched. We don't know for sure, but we did see the rider going into the truck, I think carrying the saddle.
Okay.
We'll wait until they announce it, though. Don't
keep you posted on that. Meanwhile, Sun Thunder, 11th in last year's Kentucky Derby, came back for the first time since that Derby, January 6th. Muddy track, beaten favorite. Good sealed track, beaten even money favorite, running second in both those races. And then finally got a fast track last time out at a mile. Third beat 2 lengths. So at 4 to 5.
He hasn't gotten supersonic paces, and he's supposed to get a faster pace here, which is supposed to help him because there is some speeds in here, and there are speeds that are a little overmatched, and the 11 is officially scratched now, to let you know for sure. So he's supposed to get it done, but it's just been a long waiting, and at some point, you know, he takes all this money, the Derby, the Bluegrass, fourth in the Bluegrass, the Louisiana Derby, the Risen Star. He's getting bet because he's stake-faced, as we like to say, but he's not delivering to his odds.
No, but he also, thoroughgraph-wise, his numbers are blow this field away.
Buyer figures, Timeform US figures make him very tough in here. I'm not against him, and 9 to 5 isn't a terrible price either. If he was even money, I'd have a problem with it.
Let's go back to Paul.
Well, obviously, my top selection got scratched out of the race, and sometimes that's a good thing if the horse isn't feeling right and you have your money on the horse. You can go back to the window and change your bets or go to NYRABets.com and just hit the cancel wager button, and you're good to go, and you can get the funds back in your account. You know, I want to just mention one other horse, Greg. I thought the 14 was interesting in here, Archie the Giza. I wanted to hit this horse the first time around. A lot of these horses that have been coming in from Turfway Park have been running well. Cairo Prince have a tap at mare, should like going a distance to ground. And, you know, Robert Medina had this horse going 1 1/8 in his second career start. So you would think at least the distance is up the alley. I know I'm throwing out a long shot there at 18 to 1, but Sun Thunder at even money, I get it now. The race gets a little easier, but I still can't take this horse at even money.
Yeah, we are going to see that price drop down. It looks like 2 even money. I know our board shows 8 to 5, but it looks like going to get shorter here in just a moment.
Yeah. Now, see, even money, I don't like that he's not sealing the deal. I just don't like that. But he is the horse to beat, and our board is obviously incorrect. Thank you for that, Greg.
Now, Alexander Helios, the 6, maybe an alternative. Namesake ran a big one as well, but can Sun Thunder competed in last year's Kentucky Derby, Bluegrass, Louisiana Derby, Risen Star, Southwest on the road to that first Saturday in May, trying to get that first win, coming back as a 4-year-old, now his 4th chance to do it for Kenny McPeak with Ramon Vasquez. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
We're ready to go. And they're off. Rivalry caught a swift getaway. Alexander Helios in the mix in the early stages. Those two quickest as they come by us now. It's Rivalry with the lead. Alexander Helios between horses. Noliber punching forward. Guided Arrow between horses in the 3-path. 1 lap to go. Noliber has the lead. Alexander Helios takes back, runs in the 2nd spot. Rivalry also on a hold with Guided Arrow into the clubhouse turn. The pace setter clearly Noliber now. Archie the Giza broke from the outside post, gets towards the rail, is 4 lengths off the lead, racing in the 5th position, 3 ahead of B Minor and City Legend. Then comes Sun Thunder, the favorite, has 3 runners beaten. He's about 2 ahead of Magnatap, 3rd last. Harleasy 2nd to last. And Namesake draws level with him as they approach the backstretch run. Noliber on a contentious pace, setting a swift tempo here. Guided Arrow on the outside and Alexander Helios inside. They went 22-3 for the opening quarter, 46-3 for the half. That's good time over this dirt course here at Oaklawn today. Alexander Helios and Guided Arrow, there's still 1-2. Noliber drops back. He's already done. Archie the Giza takes the 3rd position. Rivalry nickeled along in the 4th spot into the turn. A gap of 4 to Sun Thunder goes well. Takes the 5th position. He's already passed plenty of rivals. B Minor is sent along with Namesake. The others well out of it as they round the far turn. Alexander Helios in front. Archie the Giza on the outside with him. And those two hook up as they hit the quarter pole. Sun Thunder gets a giddy-up reminder to get going. Takes the 3rd position as they swing off the turn. Alexander Helios, Archie the Giza, and Sun Thunder is 3rd now. He's got 2 lengths to gain on Archie the Giza, who hits the furlong pole in front. Sun Thunder trying to reel him in. Archie the Giza, Sun Thunder on the outside. Sun Thunder, Archie the Giza not letting him by. Archie the Giza, Sun Thunder. Archie the Giza's gonna get there. Archie the Giza at 16-1. 2nd, Sun Thunder. Alexander Helios and Guided Arrow 3rd and 4th.
Also eligible draws in, and Archie the Giza, rider change Harry Hernandez holding off the big 4-5 favorite. Nice call, Paul LaDuca.
And they're chanting Paulie's name. A tremendous call there. And this horse was much the best. And you pointed out to me in the backstretch that he was going well, but I said to you, they're just going too fast up front. And everybody else that was anywhere near the pace just fell apart. I mean, the 6 ran respectively to finish 3rd in there, to be fair. And I'm going to tell you something. If the 12 Sun Thunder couldn't win this race with that setup and that trip, he will never win. That was as bad a hang as you'll ever see.
Back to New York, Don Vici in this 40 maiden claiming 1 mile.
He shouldn't be a maiden. He was best last time and unlucky to lose. I just feel like he's in a tougher field today.
5-2 right now for Dominic Schettino. Conflicted 2nd time out for Kenny McPeak.
Kenny has great numbers overall, maiden special, maiden claimer, but not with 2nd-time starters. And he took no money to no running 1st time. But interesting, I guess.
A little interesting with the 3 Allegrini.
I agree. I thought both the 3 and 2, if you're looking for prices, were worth throwing in.
First-time starter here for Mike Maselli, Nicole's King.
Yeah, there's one from the dam that could run and about 7 that couldn't.
Chad Brown dropped down from straight maiden company here in start number 2.
11 for 25 route maiden special weight to maiden claimer on the dirt.
First time in for a tag of Poro. Kendrick Carmouche looking for number 4.
It comes out of a legit maiden race that fell apart. Nothing wrong with him. He's got to get the distance, though.
10-1. Uncle Eddie Jose Gomez rides.
Just nothing to recommend that I can see in his PPs.
Crown that Saint for Orlando Noda.
Ditto.
And jumping up in class. And then 31-1 outside on this first-time starter by Nyquist.
You know what's interesting about this horse? This is a Phipps pedigree. 2nd dam was Matchalata Pass, who was a very good runner and a good producer as well. I remember I saw her break her maiden first time out, I want to say by 8 lengths.
4 minutes away from the nightcap here in New York. Let's go to Maggie.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot going on for this last race. And while Don Vito Vici, I think he actually, from the overall standpoint of things, looks best. And furthermore, I've always thought that a little bit more ground would be suitable for him as he gets this 1-turn mile for the first time on the main track. Blinkers come off today. I agree with Andy. It probably should have happened last time. And you're not going to, and I just feel like, yeah, there's a lot of other things going on. But I'm not going to be surprised when he jumps up and wins. Number 2, Conflicted. He comes in with a bullet drill, 59-4 at the Belmont training track. Sorry, I'm finding it hard to talk. It's gotten a lot chillier out here. And I thought he showed a bit of pace in a race that was kind of stretched out in the end. I thought that was promising and probably just needed it. Wasn't in the paddock that day, though I weirdly ran out and took some notes on horses. I didn't take any notes on him. Anyway, I think he looks fantastic. He's warming up really well, resplendent coat on him. I'm going to take him here and take a shot with him at 14-1. Now, Strategic Decision, he announced as originally, it was just something they missed. Sometimes when horses are the way they're standing when they're young, you're not going to see two descended testicles, and they just kind of missed it first time out that he was truly just a ridgeling. As he does add blinkers, he was so green in the paddock. This is a one horse I took notes on, and he just clueless in the preliminaries leading up to that effort, and kind of clueless in the running of the race too. He's so much more professional, but yet so much more quiet. I mean, he was about to take a nap there, as he looks really fit, really well turned out, adds a short cup cheater blinker. So we'll see if the drop in class and just being more professional gets him a better placing. Certainly can't go any worse than what he did first time out. As number 6, Apuro, he's a favorite. I'll tell you what, I don't see more ground helping him. He came in, he was washed out. Like I said, it's cooled off quite significantly since earlier today. He's not a favorite for me. I'd much rather take Don Vito Vici and the Phipps pedigree that Andy was talking about. Yes, the Dam half to point of entry, Pine Island. Not a bad looking type. These are not connections that you're going to bank on winning first time out. But in this field, he made a good enough impression for me, Greg, to maybe as a huge price to throw in underneath.
All right, so a big long shot maybe to close things out here on this finale here on the Thursday card from Aqueduct. See what happens as Don Vino Vici ran too good to lose, as you mentioned in that last start. Just got nailed late. Blinkers coming off today.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I agree with Maggie. The 5's a little dicey. He's got to get the mile. Todd Pletcher ran his horse in synthetic first time. I don't think either one would be shocked if he wins, but not a great shot as the favorite. I like the 5 Strategic Decision. Has to be better than that first race. Has to be a lot better to be competitive here, but I think this move for Chad Brown just wins too consistently.
What's 44%?
11 for 25, maiden special weight to maiden claimer in dirt routes with a 253 ROI. Tough to argue with that.
See if he can do it again here on a horse that showed very little first time out. But nothing like a drop in class to get you to look a lot better. Finale on this Thursday card from New York. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Indian Quest steps forward. And in. No, hesitates for a moment. Now in. All set. And they're off. Good break to the outside from Crown That Saint is in the early mix, and also Apuro from in between horses. It's now Apuro who's got the lead, is up by a half length. Strategic Decision is right there with this early leader. These two speed off together down towards the inside. Allegrini. Uncle Eddie is out in the center of the racetrack. Breaking on top there was Indian Quest and Crown That Saint. They're trying to progress forward. Very tightly bunched here. Down towards the inside, there's Don Vino Vici is trying to hold that position as Allegrini is going to push on through. Sorting themselves out. It's Strategic Decision with a nose in front. Down to the inside there is Allegrini with pressured tempo. Apuro is going to be 3 wide. Just off of them is Don Vino Vici's in 4th. The tandem outside, Crown That Saint and also Indian Quest, they're moving forward. They're 5 and 6 wide. Right there is conflicted in that early fray too. Towards the back end, Uncle Eddie with the trailer. Nick Cole's King. 23.46 and 46 and 3 for the half-mile time. 3 across the racetrack down towards the inside. It's Allegrini. In between horses, here comes Strategic Decision is back with a neck in front. Apuro's 3 wide. Getting off the rail, here comes Don Vino Vici is looking for a way out. Also, Indian Quest is going to be 4 wide chasing these leaders. They get set to reach the top of the stretch. Strategic Decision is still a nose in front. Allegrini is battling on towards the inside. They are 4 across the racetrack, about to be 5, as joining them is going to be Don Vino Vici. Top of the stretch, it's Allegrini trying to gut it out. Apuro is 3 wide. Strategic Decision starts to commence a rally, and here comes Indian Quest motoring there with Don Vino Vici. Anyone's race here as they approach the final 16. Strategic Decision has taken the lead. Strategic Decision is in front. In between horses, Don Vino Vici, Indian Quest at a big number on the outside. These horses down to the line. Strategic Decision. Strategic Decision holds on. Then a photo there with Indian Quest and also Don Vino Vici in 1 minute 38.41 seconds.
Strategic Decision. These connections, this trainer does it again. Maiden special to maiden claiming with the win.
He was much the best. I mean, he battled the whole way with the 3 and 6, put them away. They folded towards the end. Maggie with a little bit of nice things to say about the 9. We talked about the pedigree. That horse seemed to have gotten second over the 1, who might have been a little tight, but no excuse. The best horse won this race, and the drop down continues. Now 12 for 26. And the ROI went up with this 5-1 shot. A strategic decision gets it done. He was game.
43-1 shot.
Well, that was this pedigree horse that I had mentioned the pedigree, and Maggie was saying that she kind of liked things about the horse. So if I had been smart, I'd have a $2 exacta. I did not.
5, 9, 1, 3. And strategic decision with a drop down. It pays off in here. Eric Cancel, Chad Brown, Klarovich Stables. 5-1 over 43-1. We'll have the prices when we come back. Put a stamp on this Thursday card here in New York. We still have the feature to come from Hot Springs. We'll get to that. We have an inquiry and objection, though, that has just been posted. And all top 3 in this race, 5, 9, and 1 all flashing on the board.
Well, of course there is, because I just won a bunch of money. But without the head on, I can't tell you.
Yeah, trying to get that for you momentarily here. We're not aware of what this entails, what the stewards are looking at. Off screen, we're getting a look at it.
Okay.
So we should be able to get this to you shortly. All right, so let's take a look. Your eventual winner, red and white cap.
He's coming down. He's coming down. Yep. Oh, well.
All right,
I just won a bunch of money for a few minutes there, but he's probably coming down.
So here's
it's too bad because he was so much the best. Well, I don't know. Didn't happen there. We're not coming down for that.
There.
Yeah, he's coming down. Yep, he will be coming down.
That
I got DQ'd
was,
there. That's
yeah,
too bad.
the incriminating evidence, very, very late stages of the race.
Oh, well.
And with that,
oh, well.
Wow.
Be my worst DQ for money in quite a while. It's too bad. It's frustrating because he was much the best. I mean, I understand that he committed a foul and in all likelihood it's going to come down and should come down. I'm not denying the call. It's just a shame because he clearly ran the best race. I mean, to battle the whole way while the other 2 horses had perfect trips and just sucked it up. It's a little unfortunate, but Eric needs to keep him straight, you know, and it's up to the rider to keep him straight, and he did not.
So if this horse does come down and the 9 is elevated to the win, we will have a pick 6 carryover.
Yes, we will.
One more look at it.
Yeah, he's coming down. Yep. He's coming down. It's as simple as that. It'll be a shock if he doesn't come down. I've already burned the money that I was supposed to make. It's hard when the best horse gets DQ'd, but he did commit a legitimate foul. You know, if like the 9 had come in, you would have said, well, he was sort of fortunate to have been there because he got such a perfect trip behind the contentious pace. But he did not keep a straight path. It was very late when it happened. The only way that he wouldn't come down is they somehow ruled it happened so close to the wire. But it's very unlikely that he won't come down. So you'll see all likelihood you will see a 9-1 result here. If you had the 9, congrats to you because you're very likely to get put up with the second best horse.
One more look at it.
Maybe even the third best horse, because maybe then, if you think that the 5, and this is Eric's fault. I mean, I'm sorry, but he's hitting the horse lefty. I don't want to be too hard on him, but he's hitting him lefty, and you're in tight quarters, and he came out under a left-handed stick, and that's what happened there. You know, this is rider error, frankly.
Yeah, as a result, going
rider
left-handed
error
to the crop.
It's rider error.
Got that bump late, right before the wire. That's the part we cannot tell how close it was to the wire. It was obviously very late stages. Take a look here. This will give us a better look at it, where exactly that came. Yeah. It was very late, wasn't it? Well, apparently, and there's Eric Cancel. Has he already done his? I guess he's already talked to the stewards.
He's coming down.
So I don't think there's any scenario that stewards say this race was wrapped up. It was so close to the wire.
I guess, but it's hard to see. But I'm not a steward, so.
One more time. It's coming here. There it is. And yeah, going to the left hand does not help his cause at all. Even though it's late stages of this race, that inquiry sign up, and the longer that sign stays up, a very good indication that there will be A change made.
And the stewards are supposed to take the 5 down, I believe, and I need him to win. So I hope I end up being wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be wrong. It's just unfortunate because he clearly ran the best race of anybody in here. But you know what? His rider needs to keep him straight, and you can't be using the left-handed crop when you're in that situation and coming out. This is a rider error that caused this very likely disqualification. And if you have the 9, you get put up.
The man that stands to benefit there, Romero Mirage, on this 43-1 shot. Another look at it here from an angle we have not seen yet. Already.
Well, that angle doesn't really tell us. It's a skewed angle. It doesn't really tell us. The head-on is all that matters.
Things were tight, and there's the left-handed crop from Cancel.
I briefly thought I was going to win a bunch of money here, Greg. I don't blame you.
Does not look good for your eventual winner. As these two wait it out, let's see if they will get elevated here. If so, again, if Indian Quest does get moved up, that means we have a pick 6 carryover going into Friday.
I'm going to assume that we will, but until they make it official, they did it. 9-1-5.
All right.
Well, that was unfortunate.
Change
for me.
made. Strategic decision DQ'd. 9 horse at 43-1 moved up to victory. First time starter for Cleveland Johnson.
What a wonderful ride home I'll have.
9-1-5-3, no order of finish as the stewards disqualify the 5 horse. Strategic decision. And on that note, you're going to say goodbye?
Am I done? I want to get out of here.
Maggie Wolfendale joining me on the desk after a break. DQ in the finale here at Aqueduct.
The Airbnb, it wasn't pre-planned. When we bought the third and final tract of land to reassemble the farm, there was this magnificent hand-done timber stone home of 5,000 square feet, and that's something that we really needed. And so we decided to do the Airbnb, and it's been good. A lot of people have come. You get a chance to share the farm. They have the option of taking a tour, and my wife Angie gives a tour. It's probably a 2-hour tour. It really wasn't done from a motivation of revenue, even though there's a revenue component. It was really share the farm and have people spend a couple days, and a lot more intimacy if you spend 2 days on a place versus a 2-hour tour. So everybody that's been has loved it, and you know, the first guest was Gladys Knight when we did the Toba event here, so that was a great way to start it off. The tours are actually very busy, and you know, I find it's a great way to share the industry and to explain to lots of neophytes or people that only hear about the business from afar, particularly those that might have a negative connotation about the business, to see how things are actually done, how foals are really cared for, mare stallions are cared for, and the love of the horse. I think every time someone can have a great experience and tell somebody who tells somebody, it's good in a very small way. It's good for the business, and you know, the more exposure we have, you know, when you're proud of what you do and the ethics of your business, and the more people you share that with, the better it is for the business.
Just an incredibly beautiful property. I'll look into that Airbnb. Our program sponsored in part by Hillendale at Alapa. Proud to have them as a sponsor, as we still have our feature to come at Oaklawn, joined on set by Maggie Wolfendale. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing much better than Andy was.
You had a rough go there late in the show. Horse that you like, you talked about the pedigree, and this horse via DQ, whatever, ran huge.
Yeah.
Put up to victory in the finale.
Yeah, Indian Quest. I mean, he ran well. Yes, strategic decision. Ran, you know, probably best in defeat at the end of the day, but you know, good for my man Cleveland Johnson, V, as we affectionately call him. Doesn't have many horses, and a horse that had that lovely Phipps pedigree to kind of fall back on, and Romero Mirage tipping him out wide here, and he was resolute to the wire. Certainly Don Vito Vici getting the worst of it all when it comes to the interference down the lane.
One more look. So those red and white silks, here's Eric Cancel, and it's going to be very late stage into this race. He's going to switch to the left hand, and his horse will come in.
He drifts a bit, forces a 6 into Don Vito Vici, and then, I mean, this, as you said, was the worst of it all. And we saw the rider aboard the one in here just totally having to steady him, Manny Franco, late in the game.
Going to help this cross-country Big Five with one leg remaining, the 8th at Oaklawn.
Holy moly, look at
$34 horse that Paulie gave out.
Ah.
Indian Quest, who you had mentioned. Unfortunately, that was after you had to have your wagers in for the Big Five. Still, well done, both of you. And we got the 8th coming up to close out the sequence here. Allowance non-winners to 2 life. 6 furlong sprint coming up. And the 6th horse, Zambezi, Steve Asmussen's son Keith aboard, current favorite.
Yeah, has the credentials and the numbers as of late to be a major factor in here. I thought kind of chasing really wide throughout, where the horse that finished just in front of him, Medium Mogul, who we'll also see in here, got to save a lot more ground than he did.
All right, we'll have more on this field, including the post parade. We'll hear from Paulie when we come back, approaching the 10-minute mark to post here in this feature on the Thursday card. When we return on our Fox Sports 2 coverage of America's Day at the Races. Stay with us.
The son of Run Happy, Nutella Fella, has won the hopeful.
Eclipse champion Run Happy, price for value, and standing strong at Claiborne Farm.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Jackie's Warrior quickly in front here by 2 lengths. Here comes Jackie's Warrior up the inside to take over the lead from Life is Good. Jackie's Warrior remains undefeated here at Saratoga, and he wins an unprecedented Grade 1 stakes at the Spa for the 3rd straight season.
Back on America's Day of the Races on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. Greg Wolf, Maggie Wolfendale. We'll get to Paulo Duca in a moment. Feature coming up to close out the cross-country Big Five as well here at Oaklawn. 6 furlong sprint. Allowance non-winners at 2 life, and still Media Mogul, the favorite. Going to kick things off with Axton from the inside.
Axton for the late Toby Keith, Dreamwalkin' Farm, coming off of a layoff in which he was wired by the favorite last time at Prairie Meadows.
Code 5 won minor stake at Turf Paradise back in December 22. Was gone a long time.
A very long time. Hustled for some speed, but faded badly early on.
Here's the favorite, Chris Landeros for Boyd Castor.
Yeah, half-brother to Arcangelo. Has been in steady improving form.
Plausible Denial for Jimmy DeVito.
Is one that was just never involved last time out while saving ground.
Maiden Win came in the slop in a race taken off the turf at Churchill for my Uncle Leon.
Yeah, turning back in distance, I think this is just a starting point for him off the bench.
Team Asmussen with Zambezi.
I mean, they often can't be stopped as a horse that does make a lot of sense.
Flying Houdini, big price at 25 to 1.
I mean, he's going to have to come up out of a race faster than he's ever run out of thin air.
And Moe's Treasure, Nick Juarez at 8 to 1 on the outside for D. Wayne Lucas.
Yeah, turn back, second off of a layoff. And the race 2 back makes him a fringe player at best.
That's your field feature at Oaklawn. Let's go to Paul for more.
Yeah, when I look at this race, it's kind of confusing me when I look at the board because numbers-wise, Media Mogul, I thought actually would be 6 to 5 or 7 to 5 at this point right now. But a lot of money's flowing in on, I guess, an array of different horses in here. But when you look at, Media Mogul's races, I mean, they're pretty darn good. A win in 4 seconds, and even people might say second-itis, this and that, but he's lost to a couple next out winners. I think his odds will come down a little bit more, down to 9 to 5. Now the 6, Zambezi. This horse is 1 for 10 lifetime, and he kind of almost runs kind of on a treadmill. I'm actually surprised, and I'm not questioning Steve Aspen, he's a Hall of Fame trainer, that this horse hasn't gone a mile of ground because he kind of runs his sprints like he's just grinding away and he's inching closer and closer. And I really felt in his last race he got an unbelievable setup, and when he wheeled out, he just kind of just sort of hangs out there in the middle of the racetrack. And Media Mogul outfinished him last time, so 5 to 2 to 5 to 2. And now the 6 is clicked to your favorite. I don't get it. I really don't. The 6 can beat me here. Zambezi, I get the horse can win. I'd like the horse on a sloppy racetrack a little bit more, but I don't see abundance of pace in here for this type of horse. Now, when we get to pace, I think the 2's very dangerous here. Now, Corey Owens, you know that I have a pass with AAA Rash, but this horse won first time out in the Breeders' Futurity. I get it. It was a long time ago. He wheeled this horse back. When I talked to Corey last time out after almost a 2-year layoff, he basically said, listen, I'm giving this horse a race. The horse is getting bet because he's been showing speed in the morning. He looked tremendous on the racetrack, and I think he does get the lead. Maggie made a good point. He dead stopped last time, but he never got to the front. He sort of broke a little bit awkward, and at 5 to 1, I'm going to take a little bit of a flyer on him because, there's so many horses in here. You could go to the 4, plausibly Denial. I mean, that's another horse that's had some races that you can go to, but the horse is 1 for 17 lifetime. The 3 is by far the horse to beat in here at age 5, but I do think the 2 might be able to sneak away from this group, and if he gets courageous on the front end, you never know at 5 to 1.
Yeah, I mean, we were on the air. I remember Paulie talking about this horse, took a lot of attention, and that was meaningful money, you know, coming back off that long of a layoff. So we'll see. I mean, had to have needed that start if he can last a little longer today.
I mean, definitely ran like that, and he was kind of hustled for that early speed. He just couldn't get there, as Paulie was saying. So taking quite a bit of money, has been working consistently. You know, leading up to that workout that race comes back with a nice workout of 48 flat last time before this effort here. So yeah, one that where it doesn't look as though there's a clear-cut speed horse, he's probably it.
Did you, and there he is, Media Mogul, did you feel this horse deserved to be as much of a standout as Paulie felt?
No, I thought it was kind of even the horses out there betting. He could take some more late money as, you know, he's drifting down a little bit here, but I just thought that Zambezi had a more taxing trip than he did. Yeah, he had to wait for some room down the lane, but he was able to save a lot more ground than what Zambezi did. And at the end of the day, he finished a length and a quarter ahead of him. So I thought, I guess it depends how much stock you put into that race.
4 seconds as well for Media Mogul and 5 career starts. There he is. And that win came at Remington. But no doubt, big figures. And today, third off the bench, short layoff. 5-2, not favored right now. The horse who was behind him, Zambezi, the 8-5 choice on the board. 1 for 10 coming in.
There's 2 horses in here that have big shoes to fill when it comes to pedigrees. Obviously, Media Mogul's one of them, and Archangela, and then the major long shot in here, Flying Houdini's a half to Zandon.
Wow. Biggest price on the board at 41-1.
And Plausible Denial, there are races for this horse to get back to, if he can. The race 2 back makes him a player here. It's just, he does throw in some clunkers, you know, in amongst those decent races. So what Plausible Denial will we get today?
I've liked this horse so many times.
Right,
we're talking about the 4 right now.
You.
Yeah, and just, wow, has had a tough time getting that second win of his career. 6-1 right now, Plausible Denial, off since New Year's Day. And we'll see if he can bounce back a bit. Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard. Just got a brief look at him. He left our screen. But public right now can't get enough of Zambezi at 8-5.
Yeah, well, he went back down, didn't he?
I mean, you look at this race, there really is very little pace in here.
There is, and that's why Paul's horse is incredibly dangerous in Code 5.
Yeah.
Looks as though he got on his toes out in the racetrack. Paul said he looked fantastic. So why not, really, take a shot with him? I wonder how much the 1 shows as far as pace coming off late. Not that he's faster than Code 5, but sometimes with a fresh horse, you see them be a little bit quicker, but then again, he has to do it from the inside, which is an unenviable post position.
Feature race closing out the cross-country pick 5 as well, with cross-country pick 5 that had 2 very big numbers in it, including a 43-1 shot.
And we have a pick 6 carry over here.
Yes, we do, going into the Friday card. Matt Dinnerman, the call. Here's the 8th from Oaklawn.
My Uncle Leon, so Plausible Denial is second to last, and that leaves Moe's Treasure to the outside to complete the field of 8. Moe's Treasure, we're ready to go. And we're off. A little bit of a tardy break from my Uncle Leon, but he was just off sluggishly. Just didn't break like the rest of the group did. Zambezi up on the pace. Code 5 a little bit quicker, and Code 5's in front now. Zambezi pressing from the outside a half length back. Flying Houdini is deep on the course, farther out. Moe's Treasure parked 4 wide within a length of the lead down the backside. Media Mogul finds a seam on the fence, moves up and passes Flying Houdini, who retreats to 5th now, approaching the forward turn run. A gap of 3 to Axton. Plausible Denial is second to last. fast, and my Uncle Leon can see them all as they round the far turn. Zambezi up to challenge Code 5, and these two locking horns. Zambezi with the head lead. Code 5 on the inside, sent along to keep up. Moe's Treasure under pressure now, within a length and a half of the lead. Media Mogul right behind him. Plausible Denial takes 5th from a weakening at the back. My Uncle Leon as they come down the lane. Zambezi down the stretch, putting away the competition right now. The only one with a chance to beat him, though, is Plausible Denial, who's coming on the scene. Zambezi under a confident hand ride leads. Plausible Denial is second, and Zambezi's going to get it. Zambezi full run today. Plausible Denial was second, Media Mogul third, Code 5 fourth.
Zambezi, Stephen Keith Asmussen, and a cross-country pick 5 that will be over $31,000.
Wow. Well done if you've had a tough sequence to get to until this point when the 8-5 favorite delivered here. And Greg, showing almost a new dimension with this early speed where Keith, obviously very familiar with him, put him in the game. Keith also a student of the game, recognizing there wasn't any other real speed, and this is what we see from this horse as he dominates this field. Good old Plausible Denial. We're one of his better races today to finish.
Yeah, it ran good to get second in here. Zambezi was just too good. 109 and 2.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it was going to be a fast pace, but in the end, it was in a fast race as well.
Keith Asmussen, what a terrific meet he's having.
So proud of him. He's such a kind person too. Just, you know, I'd been around him quite a bit up in Saratoga for several years. My husband Tom's barn and the Asmussen barn were right next to each other, so saw him getting on horses, and he's so pleasant. So I couldn't be happier for him, because obviously this isn't probably the easiest way for him to make a living given his height and what he has to go through to maintain his weight, but you feel even better for people that go through that achieve success like he is.
Yeah, gotta go through that struggle, and obviously loves what he's doing to make that commitment, and it is paying off, being rewarded for his efforts. We've seen him grow up and just get better and better the last few meets right before our eyes on this program. Wins here for Dad on the 8-5 favorite. Zambezi's second win in 11 career starts, closing out this cross-country pick 5. We'll have that payoff when we come back on our Thursday coverage here on Fox Sports 2. During Leo McLaughlin's 22-year run as mayor of Hot Springs, starting in 1926, the city became a haven for notorious criminals and gangsters, most notably Al Capone.
A lot of people aren't aware of the fact that in 1931, Las Vegas, Nevada had 5,000 people in it and no high-rise hotels. Everyone was there to build the Boulder Dam, which became the Hoover Dam. At the same time, in 1931, Hot Springs had 20,500 people in it, 22 high-rise hotels, and $100 million in gambling income. The only difference was here in Arkansas, it was illegal, but it was okay.
During the spring, tourists could find themselves rubbing elbows with gangsters and Major League Baseball players.
Everyone year-round could enjoy the hot mineral baths, hunting and fishing and gambling. But in the spring, it was the opening of the live thoroughbred race meet at Oaklawn Park. And man, was it a happening place.
What a time that must have been to visit Hot Springs when the gangsters of the day all assembled there, and it was a free zone.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad there aren't gangsters there anymore.
Did you get to do any of the fun sights around town when you were there?
I did. The one thing that I want to do that I haven't done yet is go to the fire tower on top of the mountain that kind of sits in the backdrop of downtown Hot Springs. It's the one thing I want to do, but I've done a lot of things there so far.
I gotta get there. Zambezi in the feature to close out this cross-country Pick 5, 8-5, and as you mentioned, Keith Asmussen showing new tactics with this horse.
Yeah, it was really aggressive with him. We thought that the 2 could be the lone speed in here, and he essentially was, but Keith said, no, I'm not letting you out of my sights, nor letting you have a walk in the park. But this horse was just very handy for him. It's not like they crawled through early fractions. They started fast, they finished fast, and he was much the best.
Wins for just the second time in his career. Public was right on here. 6-4-3-2. On a candy ride with the victory. So 8-5 Everett closes out this cross-country Pick 5 that was not easy, obviously, to get to this point. And as a result of that, returns $31,667.
Wow.
And a DQ to get Indian Quest, by the way.
I know. Yeah, you would hope that somebody went all because he was by far the longest price on the board. Archie the Giza. Well done, Polly. Buston Bay, who... I mean, she had the good races if you trusted that she could get back to them, and she did today. It's like the first leg and the last leg, they were possible singles, but not really.
I thought that first leg was tough. Yeah, I did not feel like
Ocean Gateway
that Clement filly should have been that short of a price. She ran like it, though.
Yeah, she did.
9th at Oaklawn to close out this Thursday card. Arkansas bred 50 maiden claiming race, mile and a 16th. And right now, speaking loud for Kenny McPeak. 1 sprint, and now we'll stretch out start number 2.
Well, as Paulie says, correctly so, chaos reigns supreme when it comes to these Arkansas-bred races, especially when you're dealing with maidens, and many of them, Greg, stretching out in distance here. So there's some guesswork, some homework to do when it comes to maybe pedigrees or just watching how these horses ran at those sprint distances. But yeah, we could see another upset here.
All right, we'll have more on it coming up. We're going to get back to the OBS March sale. As we mentioned, over 300 horses sold, more than $46 million worth, and 4 going for $1 million or more at this sale. Let's go back to Acacia Clement, who catches up with a woman who's part of the team who broke Belmont and Travers winner Arcangelo before he made history for Jenna Antonucci.
I'm so happy to be joined by Katie Miranda with White Lilac Consignment. And Katie, a really strong group this year. What's appealing about selling here at OBS?
So I enjoy selling here. It's in my backyard, so we get to come over before the sale. The horses get to go over the track, which is nice. They get to be, acclimated to the area, and everybody comes here.
So you've prepped nice horses for the sale this year, but you've also been part of really exciting horses that have gone on to do big things on the racetrack, namely Arcangelo. Can you talk a little bit about what he was like at the beginning before he became the horse that we all knew on the track?
He was a jerk. He was a tough colt. You know, we got him, you know, a little bit later in his 2-year-old year, and he was a tough colt to have at the farm. And you know, looking back on it now, is, you know, we'll take that. We'll take that any day if a horse turns out like that. So it's fun to watch him develop and the personality that he had on the track, and a cool thing to be a part of. And obviously sharing that with Jenna has been fantastic.
What's that process like with you and Jenna with prepping horses to get to the track? And when do you kind of say, wow, this is a good one?
We start a lot of horses here in Ocala together, so that's what we do under Horseology. And we started about 45 babies this year, 45 young horses this year. We do a lot of groundwork. We do a lot of hands-on with them, and whether they're going to the racetrack or whether they're coming here to the 2-year-old sales. And we kind of have that plan months ahead of time, but it's an individual thing, you know, watching them all develop and seeing kind of when one's going to bloom versus another. And that's kind of when we make the decision with owners of, is it going to go to a 2-year-old sale? Is it going to go to the track, maybe early at the track, later at the track? And so it's a fun process to just kind of individualize those plans for each horse.
Exciting times. This is when it really begins. And as you were saying to me off air, another $1 million sales topper actually has just happened at the sale.
$1.8 million for a filly by Win of Donato Lani for Zayden Racing. $1.8 million after a 20-1 workout.
Wow.
I got to give a little round of applause, though, for the third highest sales topper at $1.3 million. My man Robert Chasanoff bred the colt by Flatter out of the mare Napier. So well done him. He's my dog walking buddy up in Locust Valley.
Oh, nice. It's so neat to see two people that have invested so much, and you know, even some of these smaller farms too, that breed these horses, bring them to the sale, and then have it work out.
It's so exciting.
It's
yeah,
so rewarding for
those
them.
Smaller co-signers, a lot of the guys, you know, all the prep people in Ocala, the bigger guys, they do a great job. But some, for that like once in a lifetime horse to sell for a lot for these smaller barns and co-signers, it's really fun to watch.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. We still have the nightcap to come at Oaklawn, and we'll tell you more about foaling season in full swing right now in Arkansas, including this spot just outside of Hot Springs Cedar Run Farm. We'll be back.
War Dancer, New York's leading turf sire again in 2023 with standouts like Barrage at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got him.
War Saichi dominant on the dirt at Finger Lakes.
War Saichi has scampered well clear. War Saichi all the way with the top spot.
And Danzig Queen on the tap of the surface at Woodbine.
And Danzig Queen will come away and win by a length.
Consistently producing winners on dirt, turf, and synthetic. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
foaling season. Our foaling season starts January. Our first baby was born in January, and we'll have babies clear up until the end of May. So yeah, we are in full swing starting to get mares back to the breeding shed and start that process back. We foal about 50 mares around here a year, and that's plenty for our little operation because, you know, originally I wasn't really going to get into that, but it's definitely been something that's taken off with the way the program here at Oaklawn's working. It's gotten to be, these Archie breds are starting to be quite a staple here. How our program here works, they foal here, they breed back to one of our stallions that stands in this state. All of our stalls are equipped with cameras, so we will have somebody eyes on all the time. So we want everything to be as natural as possible. You know, we try to assist in any way that we can so that everything goes smooth. It's quite an experience whenever you are involved in the foaling. I mean, to be able to bring in, you know, see the very first day, the very first seconds of these foals' life and the interaction between the mare and the baby, it really does, it's very uplifting and it's very rewarding and reminds you of why you got into this business. And just to be able to watch that process and then be able to raise them and then get to see them at the racetrack, and you know, that first time they get to come into the paddock for their very first race, and it's like a full circle moment. You just, it's very, very rewarding. We've had a great meet this year, and just we've probably had 7 or 8 winners this year that of our own, and I've had several client horses that were born here, and we all feel like they're just as much ours as it is theirs. The quality of your Arkansas bred horses have really started to change. You're starting to see people not just bring in an average mare, they're wanting to bring their good mares down here to breed and foal and raise and race and get involved in our program, which is, it's only going to help us and it's only going to help it get better. You know, we've been in it long enough now, like you're taking the time to study your mare and your stallion and what do you think they would look like? What would that baby look like if you put that stallion and that mare together? What kind of runner do you think you'll get? So it's being able to see that and then bring it to life and then be able to be in the winner's circle and see how rewarding that was is definitely the reason I'll keep doing it till as long as I can.
The incentive is there to run in these state bred maiden races at Oaklawn. There is a lot of money on the line, and one of the building blocks for Cedar Run Farm, horse that actually was a former claimer, Moonshine Mullen, who became a Grade 1 winner for them.
That's really amazing, and now he's their stallion. So the Arkansas Bred Program, look, the state programs are integral to racing. You look at what we've done here in New York and the program and the horses that we've produced with such. So I really like that Arkansas has really kind of grabbed the bull by the horns and promoted this program and these breeding farms that have popped up. They are sustaining the industry.
We've seen some nice Arkansas bred runners. Still one of my favorites the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
Gar Hole, I love that
Your
sprinter.
boy.
But seeing some of these horses too compete on an open company level against
What
some
about
very
the
good
Louisiana
talent.
bred, Free Like a Girl?
Yeah.
Who I heard Apple Blossom?
Yeah, might be going to the Apple Blossom. That would be fun.
Yeah.
We still have the nightcap to come. We're going to look ahead, though, to this weekend at Oaklawn. And our ABR race of the week, the Grade 3 Whitmore. And a purse of $250,000 in here. Tejano Twist for Chris Hartman. Had back-to-back stakes wins until that streak came to an end in the King Cotton on a wet track back on February 3rd.
You know, he's kind of the stalwart of this group. He's been around. He's battled with horses like Cody's Wish, Goodnight, Bango, and at times has, you know, not necessarily been better than those ones, but this could be the year that he steps forth and is able to shine. So he's always one that is going to be coming late, so sometimes he's at a pace disadvantage.
Meanwhile, Rivet is going to be the one probably everybody's chasing in this spot. Although there's a little bit of other speed, but he is quick. And when he is at his best, he is very good, as he proved off the bench back on February 23rd for Steve Asmussen.
Right, so the start 2 back, he was facing older horses for the first time as he's a newly turned 4-year-old, but he easily handled older horses in that allowance race, posting a career best Beyer with a 99. Maybe this is what we saw here is kind of coming out party as a 4-year-old, and the future is looking bright because it feels like year after year, Steve has a sprinter that is just top class.
If he could,
sorry, go ahead.
No. If he could move forward off that, I mean, could he challenge his stablemate Skelly?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Skelly, I thought ran okay.
Saudi.
And I always have liked Rivet from the get-go, from the beginning of his career, and this is what Steve's best at. But yeah, I agree with you. He could definitely give Skelly a run for his money.
That was pretty good. But that's a good one coming up. Grade 3 Whitmore, part of that Saturday coverage that we will have for you on the program. Meanwhile, earlier on in the card, we're going to have the Purple Martin for 3-year-old fillies, $200,000 purse, 6 furlong sprint. And the Dixie Belle, won by Extreme Diva. Blue Squall just missed by a nose. They're going to rematch on Saturday.
Yeah, look, Extreme Diva, she was really determined to win here over Blue Squall, and I appreciate the effort as she's installed as your 2-to-1 morning line favorite, a Minnesota bred.
Well done.
Excuse me. Not the prettiest of movers, but nonetheless determined. She's got a lot of heart, and her last 2 efforts are very good, as you mentioned, winning the local prep in the Dixie Belle for this Purple Martin.
She's done very little wrong. That was a popular win.
How about Brooklyn Drew?
For Mac Robertson, yeah.
I mean, 1 dirt race, fast figure.
Big number, race that was meant for the grass, came off. Chris Hartman, one of the top barns. Yeah, definitely.
Ripe for being overbet in the end.
Possibly. We'll see. We'll have that for you as well. That's coming up race 7 on Saturday. We're going to get to the nightcap ahead. Close things out with this. Arkansas Breds, speaking of, $50,000 maiden claiming route race at 1 mile and 1/16th coming up, and 7-2 is your favorite, so it is wide open.
Yeah, well, as it typically is. Number 3, Speaking Loud as your favorite. The Gallop Out people all over this one, right? Did not have much early speed at all as he stretches out in distance. He was weaving his way in through traffic, in and out of traffic, down the lane, and galloped out well in front of the eventual winner, who also was able to close from off the pace.
All right, 1 sprint to a stretch out here, going 2 turns. See how it goes for Speaking Loud. We're going to kick things off in the post-parade secret strategy. We talk about this a lot on the program. Feel like most of you guys feel like state bred maiden special to state bred maiden claiming for these Arkansas breds, not that big of a drop.
Probably not. I feel like it almost, in New York it is when we're dealing with state bred horses, so it's kind of hard for me to adjust that, that mentality. But yes, nonetheless, secret strategy is a drop down in class, but at the end of the day, Greg has run figures that make him a major player in here. And furthermore, now that he stretches out finally, looks like he gets outrun early in his races and he just keeps plugging along, just a grinding type of even keeled type of horse where I think he'll appreciate getting more ground to cover.
He's actually become the favorite right now. It's time to try something new. 5 starts sprinting has not worked out. So a drop in class and now a stretch out for the horse that's going to kick off our post parade here. Secret Strategy. It's tough to make anyone really a favorite in this race.
Well, that's why he's 7-2, right? Co-7-2 choices.
There he is.
Look at him. Gray, son of Street Strategy, so at least a positive influence when it comes to pedigree and getting more ground.
Outlaw Run went long last time out for 20 maiden claiming, did not fare well.
And stepping back up in class. He's got a big mountain to climb.
Here's the Kenny McPeak second-time starter.
Yeah, I mean, he's just going to attract a lot of attention. We'll see. Second-time starters, I don't know. For Kenny stretching out, we'll see what he does.
Here's another second-time starter, drops down, Unnecessary Tricks.
Did not show much in the debut, but we'll see what Chelsea Bailey is able to work out with him.
More Money Mo at 27-1.
Great trip last time. I just was not good enough.
2 sprint stretch out for Gentle Ben.
Did have a little trouble at the break, gentlemen. Wondering if the stretch out does help him.
Some speed, at least early from Double Check.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't he be the lone speed on the front end here? I think he's interesting. Again, a second-time starter stretching out. More generous price, though, than on 3.
Hard luck Henry, big numbers, had 6 starts, never hit the board.
Yeah, I can't recommend much about him. He's hard
Mr.
luck.
Works, that was soft company, but at least going longer. Hit the board.
I thought he was the interesting one because he was ranked last time. He was able to put away all pace challenges and just run down late, and at least he, as you said, has the distance experience.
All green lights finished behind Speaking Loud last time out. 3 starts, and now we'll go longer. And then Bradford to the outside for Steve Asmussen.
Steve claiming this horse at 33-1. Out of a Churchill maiden 20 because he was an Arkansas bred. Look, I thought in the 2 sprint races he's been awfully one-paced while saving ground last time, though wired by Brahms' Image. He makes a good deal of sense. I thought the 12 and 9 were kind of the interesting alternatives to the favorites.
All right, let's hear from Paulie with the nightcap coming up.
Yeah, Maggie hit the nail on the head before we started this race. Sometimes these Arkansas bred races can cause a lot of chaos. This race is very interesting because you have a lot of horses stretching out. And I'm in agreement with Maggie with the 1 in here, Secret Strategy. You know, he's got the best numbers in the race. You're just wondering now, okay, here's a closing sprinter. Sometimes it doesn't equate to a horse that wants to go long. But I'm kind of with Maggie because when you look at his running lines, it's not like he has a burst of speed. He just hasn't been able to get out of the gate. He kind of does grind along, like Maggie said. And so sometimes horses that grind along, they do like that, you know, distance of ground. So he doesn't look like a drop-dead sprinting closer, even though he's just had gate issues. So hopefully he can get out of the gate and secure position from the 1 hole. Now the 3 in here, Speaking Loud, I understand where the public's going. Sometimes when you get into these type of races, you want to go for the horses that are like 0 for the least, right? Because you have a ton of horses, you know, that are sometimes 0 for 11, 0 for 12. And the 3 ran well first time out with Joey Belmare. He's back aboard. Source launched from way out of it, had a little bit of traffic. Probably should have ran second that day at about 8-1. Now Kenny has come back with just 1 work, and it was a slow spurt, probably a maintenance work, knowing that, you know, he's okay right now and just ready to go for his 2nd career start. And, you know, going long on this, you know, move, Kenny's about 14%. So if you like the price, 4-1, I think is there. Now the 9 is the horse that I thought was interesting. You know, Maggie made a good point. Like you look at the rest of these horses, they're 6 furlong horses. We really kind of don't know what they're going to do in a mile. The 9 horse had a weird trip last time, and I remember talking to Greg Compton down at the rail. He was kind of a little upset that Ramon Vasquez had pushed the horse underneath. He wanted to kind of sit back, and if you look back, some of this horse's best efforts were kind of from off the pace. And I think maybe with a lot of horses stretching out, like the 9 can lay off the pace, the most proven horse at the distance, you're getting 4-1. And then I put the other Asmussen horse in the winner's circle, but the 10 is getting bet here and the 12 in here, Bradford. I'm not a fan of Bradford getting that all the way outside post. The 10 is getting money here for Johnny Prather, a horse that's been pretty good, but I think the 9 Mr. Works is the horse to beat in here, and I couldn't believe it when I saw it. He's actually the lowest will pays in the pick 4s and pick 5s, Greg.
Yeah, Paulie, I'm sure, and Maggie too, you grew up watching 8 is Enough, right?
What is that?
The Bradford family. And the father of the family,
I never watched it. Yep.
Dick Van Patten, was actually huge. He'd be at Hollywood Park all the time.
Oh, neat.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, any day you go
Well,
out
I'll
there,
be
you
a
would see him.
fan
Yeah.
just because of that.
7-2 favorite. Secret Strategy was never going long. 0 for 5 in the money, but does drop in class.
Sorry, who are you talking about?
The 1.
Yeah. So, yeah, but like Paul and I basically saw this race the same. Why are you going to take a short price? And nobody's really that short of a price. You have 4-4-1 shots on the board currently. But I just thought it was a safer bet taking the horse that's on your screen right now. And maybe it's not, to talk myself out of it, because it does feel as though there's several other horses that could show speed with the stretch out. And he's one that, at least since Greg Compton has taken over, training him has shown a much more willingness to be forward. Though this is his first start off that trainer change on a fast racetrack. So, you know, is he a horse that actually likes some moisture in the track, or is he going to actually be better, because he has been better so far in his 2 efforts for the barn on this fast track?
Back to Speaking Loud. Horse on your screen right now. Let's show you that debut. And horse who was behind him, by the way, who's 4th all green lights, the 10 today. Another horse who's taking a little bit of money on the board. That horse is going to stretch out for the first time as well.
Yeah, and all green lights coming back as a reported gelding. As look, Speaking Loud was, I would say, more so with the racetrack than a horse like we also saw Double Check in here. If anything, Double Check probably ran the better race because he was part of a pace that pretty much evaporated in the end. You know, he put away the 2 horse, and then the 10 comes up on his outside, and the 10 finishes okay in here, doesn't eventually win. I think he finishes 2nd. But, you know, looking at this race, was it an illusion with Speaking Loud because the race was coming back for him, or is he really going to benefit from stretching out? I think it's always like the eternal question when you're trying to handicap races, because it can often be that optical illusion that, oh, that horse, you know, made up so much ground, he closed, he definitely wants to run long. Maybe he's just a closing sprinter.
Yeah. But even from the brief moment you saw it there flashing through the wire.
He was running.
He was moving late.
Yeah.
No question about it. So we'll see if more ground is the answer for Speaking Loud. 7-2 right now. Co-favorite on the board. And, you know, back to that 7 who did set the pace in there. It's not like he has to hold off any superstars if he can kind of break their heart a little bit on the front end.
I thought it was promising that he was the one who showed speed. Probably just needed the race, honestly. And he's going to have the run of it. We'll see how much pressure the 9 does show, or does, you know, put on him, because he was fairly rank when on the front end and another horse coming to him, the 9. So we'll see if Christian Torres, taking over for Ramon Vasquez, what he decides to do with him.
Difficult race to close things out.
They're all difficult, these ones.
You know, especially though these state bred, even maiden special and maiden claimers just seem to be, for a track that's difficult to decipher anyway, with all these horses coming in from out of town.
Right.
These can often be the most challenging.
You get so many price horses at Oaklawn. I feel like somebody put a chart up, and I feel like Oaklawn was top 3 of just, you know, favorites going down. Of not
lowest
winning.
Percentage.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
favorites winning.
Interesting. But yeah, covering it, not surprising.
Yeah, I'm going to take the 9 here, Greg. I want the horse that has the distance experience, and I think he is a better horse now in the since he's turned 4 and in the Compton barn.
Finale on this Thursday card from Hot Springs. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman.
All green lights, second to last. Bradford to the outside. We're ready to go in the finale. And Laroff. Mr. Works up on the pace here. Speaking Loud, prominent. Gentle Ben put into it early. Double Check, naturally quick, is a bit keen here. Bradford with 5 across the track into the turn. They're sorting themselves out. Having to steady hard there was Double Check in a bad spot. Dropped back quite a few spots, and all green lights had to go around him to avoid clipping heels. So those 2 with awkward goes around that turn. Speaking Loud coming back to the lead. He's on top by a narrow margin. Bradford keen, though. He now sticks his neck out to be level with Speaking Loud approaching the backstretch run. A gap of 3 to Gentle Ben settling in 3rd. Mr. Works is outside of him. 2 more to Hard Luck Henry, and then comes Outlaw Run. More Money Mo. They're side by side. They're 3 ahead of all green lights. Racing outside of Secret Strategy, and another 5 to Unnecessary Tricks and Double Check. Those 2 trail the field down the backstretch. At least 15 lengths from first to last with a half mile to go. Bradford on the outside with a head lead. Speaking Loud still inside of him. Mr. Works joining the fun without being asked is 3 wide, moving better than the the other two at this point. Bradford, though, has something for the final 3 furlongs. Mr. Works alongside of him now, and these two round the 4 turn, speaking loud, plummeting to the back. He's gone. Gentle Ben takes the 3rd position. Hard Luck Henry with him, and Mr. Works just put away Bradford, who's now come under siege, and Mr. Works with a 1/4 mile remaining is a 3-length cushion as he swings for home. Outlaw Run takes the 2nd position, tries to reel in that front runner. Mr. Works, who has 3/16 to go, a 3-length edge still. Outlaw Run in the 2nd spot. All green lights into 3rd on the outside with about 100 yards to go. Mr. Works drifting towards the center of the track. He's a little bit green, but his ears are pricked up. He's got plenty left. And Mr. Works, much the best. Mr. Works to win the nightcap. Outlaw Run was 2nd. All green lights 3rd ahead of Secret Strategy.
He was the experience at the distance. Nice call, and in the end goes off at 3-1.
Yeah, definitely think that the 7 and 10 are worth looks going forward. Double check and all green lights as they were completely eliminated going into that first turn. But like you said, the experience going long spoke volumes with your winner, Mr. Works.
68 to 1 shot.
That was a nice
behind.
exacta.
Made it interesting. Would have been 4 out of 5 in the pick 5. Not to be. Mr. Works, though, gets the win. We are back tomorrow. Show begins on FS2 3 Eastern start time. So we will see you then as we get set for a big weekend coming up. And our ABR race of the week, that Grade 3 Whitmore in the sprint division out at Oaklawn. We'll again see you tomorrow. FS2 coverage starts 3 Eastern time. Buston Bay took the feature in New York today. Part of a 3-win day for that man, Kendrick Carmouche, on that 9-1 shot. Meanwhile, at Oaklawn, it was Zambezi, Steve and son Keith Asmussen teaming up. Just the 2nd win, 11 career starts. More aggressive early with this horse, and it paid off. We'll see you tomorrow.